Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Authentic and the Beard. The gang is back in the building, man. Big salute to everybody that's been supporting some of this pre-recorded content that we've been releasing the past couple of weeks, man. The clicks have been going crazy, man, and to see some of our videos getting that kind of traction, man, big salute to y'all because y'all know the original community are the people that really are the foundation of those videos, man. So big shout out to the gang. Y'all already know why we here, man. We about what? 14 minutes away from the 4 p.m. deadline here where Saquon Barkley and the New York Giants got to come to terms on a contract here. I'm getting a little bit nervous here in the studio, man, so I was like, man, let me pull up on the gang on some surprise vibes, see if we could get to this 4 o'clock deadline. If you haven't been keeping up track with what I've been saying on this whole Saquon situation, I'm one of the people that is for giving Saquon Barkley the deal. I think that, you know, he's gone through this turmoil for so long that now it's time to give this guy what he deserves. I know the running back market is a bit skewed here, and since the CBA, things have been a little bit grimy for running backs. We've seen Austin Eckler talk about it. We got people with these tags like Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, who's looking like he's going to sign a tag. And we got Saquon Barkley, our star running back here. And I know a lot of the fan base definitely wants to see this deal go down, man. We are here in the witching hour, as my homie Scott Hansen would say on NFL Red Zone. So we down to the last couple of minutes here, man. I wanted to check the temperature. I know we haven't gone live in a grip, man, so I'm not too sure how many people going to be in the building today. But I definitely wanted to show face because I do think that this is a monumental moment here for the New York Giants. Off-season has been a little bit slow and whatnot, and we got some big news here, man. I think this will probably be the last bit of big news that we're going to get coming out of the New York Giants until we get to camp and until we get the season started, get the preseason and whatnot, which I'm extremely excited for, man. I haven't been this hyped for a preseason in an extremely long time. I want to see these players get out there, mainly my man Jalen Hyatt. I really want to see what he can do against some NFL competition and see if that speed is going to translate to this next level here on a pro level. We know it translated in the college level, so I'm looking forward to that. Y'all know how we do just about every show here, man, at Authentic and the Beard. For all y'all new people in the building one time, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're digging the vibes. We're going to be here for probably about a good 30 minutes, but I definitely want to say what's up and send some shout outs to some of the day ones out here in the building one time. Y'all know what it is and how we do over here at Authentic and the Beard. Let me switch up the vibes one time, and let's get to some of these shout-outs. I don't got the other chat opened up, but I do got StreamYard here, so we'll be going back and forth and whatnot. But again, man, y'all know what it's good to hear these right here one more time. You know what I'm saying? We ain't heard those since we beat the Minnesota Vikings in the playoffs. I was going to say the divisional round, but we really didn't get to hear too many of the air horns after the divisional round, the way that the Philadelphia Eagles dog-walked us. But, yeah, definitely good to be back, man. So big shout-out to the gang one time, man. And a shout-out to anybody that's a Giants fan out here on this, what is this, a Monday afternoon here, waiting for this news to break. Shout out to my homies from Giant Chat Sports too, man. I saw Marshall over there, man. They got a ton of people in their live stream. I was chopping it up with them a little bit through the chat, man, and everybody's excited. Everybody's just waiting on this news to break. I hate that. This is the wild part about the whole thing before we get off into some of these shout outs real quick. We only got 11 minutes. Now, if Saquon does sign the deal, I'm going to have a little bit of gripe with Joe Shane, just a little bit, because we're going to allow both of these deals, the Daniel Jones deal and the Saquon Barkley deal, to go down to the absolute last minute. That's not fair to the fan base. I think he's pulling some strings, playing some games with us one time. But let me say what's up to some of y'all, man, and then I really wanted to tap in with y'all today, too, to figure out the pulse of our community here at the AATB community. I want to see how y'all feeling because we haven't got to chop it up about this topic. You know, I know how some of y'all felt when we were talking about it during the season. Some of these negotiations do date back all the way about 9-10 months with Saquon Barkley when they were talking about the deal during the bye week, during that time. And supposedly, you know, what the word is Saquon turned the contract down. But since all these things have transpired, the franchise tag, Daniel Jones getting his deal, a couple other players, you know, getting some one-year deals there, guys like Shepard, Isaiah Hodgins, you know, bringing in guys like Paris Campbell, Waller. We've had some upgrades here. I want to see if y'all still feeling the same way that y'all felt when we were approaching, you know, towards the end of the season, whatnot, when they were first talking about some of these negotiations. But I'm going to fly through some of these shout-outs real quick because, you know, we got 10 minutes here, man. We're going to see what's going to happen here. I got every tab open. I was extremely upset to see that ESPN, NFL Network, and FS1, none of those major networks are doing any coverage on the closing of the window for the franchise tag here at the deadline at 4 p.m. So that's a little bit disheartening. So I had to come here and chop it up with the fam one time. Y'all know what it is. Shout out to my homie one time in the building, man, Kalen Dragon 56. What's up, man? He said stressful times, my guy. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. My setup is a little bit all over the place, man. I'm kind of like beginning the stages of starting to move here with the studio and whatnot, so I'm kind of like all over the place. But I got it, a little janky vibe to get me to go through this stream. But shout out to Kalen Dragon one time in the building. Shout out to TPJ, second gen. The dynamic duo is back. Salute to you, man. Appreciate you pulling up in the building one time. Simeon Takeo is in the building. We got 14. We got a little bit less than that. We got 9 minutes now. I'm a little late on these chats one time. Jeffrey's in the building one time. My man Garrett is in the building. What's poppin', fam? How you living? My man G537 in the building says hit that like button. That's what's up. Definitely appreciate that. The Beard is in the building one time, repping for the account. Y'all know what it is. Big salute to the Beard one time. I gotta come chop it up with you soon, bro. You see the new vibes one time. I already know you see that. Let me see what else we got. Renee's in the building. Big shout out to Renee. My man Raphael Colon is in the building. Hey, and big shout out to the homie Renee, man. He was dropping big major gems on Twitter, man. I retweeted a couple of his posts, liked a couple of those. We had some good conversation on there, man. Listing some of because a lot of people like to assume that you could just go out here and just grab you a third, fourth, fifth, sixth round running back to replace a guy like Saquon Barkley. But that hit efficiency is not as high. I was just chopping it up with Sal about that just recently too, man. So good to see you up in here, Renee. Big shout out to you, fam. Samuel is in the building one time. We just catching up a little bit here. Shout out to Samuel. He said, authentic, there's nobody else I'd rather suffer through this with than you, my guy. Hey, big salute to you, fam. And y'all know the feelings are mutual, man. That's why I popped up here. I'm sitting here. I'm all nervous. Deal coming down to the wire. I'm like, man, I got to go talk to somebody, man. There ain't no Giants fans out here in D.C., so appreciate you pulling up, man. You know the feelings are definitely mutual. My fam, Nick the Wick, is in the building one time. Salute to the boss one time, man. Big left tackle, future left tackle for the New York Giants right there one time, man. Ronald Patterson is in the building. Who else we got up in here, man? My man Chris Peace in the building one time. I ain't heard this in a little bit here too, man. I appreciate the super chat, fam. Says so many live chats, so little time. I know, man. There's a lot of people live right now. Figured I'd join the community and, at least give y'all my thoughts on the situation before we get down to this deadline here, man. And we can see how things are going for the New York Giants and what the direction is. I think if they don't get Saquon Barkley this deal, man, this says a lot about where this offensive philosophy is going in the future. A lot of people are thinking we're going to have a new identity in 2023 with the pass attack, with Waller, with Paris Campbell, and getting Wan'Dale Robinson back and stuff. I'm a little bit skeptical. I'm not 100% sure the direction of this offense, but for now, I would say Saquon Barkley has been a staple and a foundation for the New York Giants, man, and the way that the offense is ran. Y'all know what it is. John is in the building one time. Big salute to John. Scotty Booms is in the building. What's poppin', fam? He said Giants fans on edge. Twitter's going crazy. Yeah, man, like I'm getting responses from like just mad random people on Twitter because I'm very active on Twitter. I say a lot of my thoughts on Twitter. And people just like coming into my mentions, going crazy, being disrespectful. But Scotty knows, man, I try to kill him with kindness, man. I ain't even going to try to, go crazy and get into no crazy back and forth debates or nothing like that. But big shout out to Scotty. I was supposed to catch up with you last weekend, bro. We're going to make that happen in the next couple of weeks, 100. At least by preseason. You know what it is. Shout out to the homie D one time in the building. No deal's going to get done, unfortunately. I mean, the time is ticking, man. This clock is definitely ticking. And, you kind of reminded me here. Let me get another tab open. I just want to get one more outlet open here as well. But I hope you're not right, D. I hope you're not right. You know what it is. Mobster Music is in the building one time. Who else we got up in here, man? Just making sure I get all of y'all. Die-hard Giants fan is in the building. Alvaro's in the building. He says, sup, authentic. Saquon is signing today. There's no other way. I hope you're right, fam. The Hot Nichols is in the building. Yeah, I doubt anything gets done today, but I'm optimistic we get him signed. Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Like, when we get to this kind of time here, man, the last 5 minutes, with each minute that finishes, we feel like we're losing a little bit more hope. And we got 5 minutes left, man. So that's it. Like 5 minutes straight up. I hope we hear something. I hope Joe Shane is playing a little bit of games with the fan base here and something is getting done behind the scenes. We'll figure that out. Shout out to the Queen Marjorie one time in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. SHU Carter's in the building. Sockpot said Moshe says, authentic. Good to see the stream again. Let's go. Yes, y'all know what it is. And for those of y'all that don't know, I put out a couple of videos this year. I spoke on the DeAndre Hopkins situation. I spoke on the Saquon situation. I spoke on Daniel Jones and the new weapons. So if you haven't seen some of the recorded content we've been doing lately, make sure to go check that out. Those new videos are on the channel. I've been trying to do about one a week, but this past week was just a little bit slow with the news. I didn't really want to reiterate some of the stuff that we've been talking about with the Saquon situation. So we didn't have a video last week. Let me see. So Ian Rappaport just reported. Let me get this one off the phone one time. Ian Rappaport says here, let me see. No deal for the Giants and star running back Saquon Barkley with talks going down to the wire and the best efforts made to strike a compromise. This comes from Tom Pelissaro and Mike Garofalo. He'll play on the tag, but the question is when. So we'll see. Right now, it's not looking good. The first comment on this one says, "No way, WTF Giants. Why didn't they just sign Saquon?" So we'll see. We got 4 minutes. I mean, that report looks pretty accurate, but we got 4 minutes, and we'll see how things go down. Shout out to David G one time in the building. I want to catch up to this chat because I really want to see how y'all feeling about this whole situation here. God Kizza's in the building one time. That's my man Jabri one time in the building. Big shout out to the gang one time, man. Jabri been holding it down on Twitter, man. I love Jabri's takes. Sometimes he come across a little bit brash, a little bit too gangster sometimes, but this dude definitely knows his ball. When it comes to the college scouting, this is the number one dude that I'm going to for real, man. So big shout out to Jabri. He's at BBU Giants on Twitter. I'm telling y'all, it's a must follow. And on Instagram, his content is straight fire as well, too. Make sure y'all follow him at BBU Giants on both platforms, man. Good to see you in the building, fam. I heard a lot of the people in the spaces was chopping it up, talking. I got a little bit of it in my ear right now. Kind of not trying to get too distracted, but I am listening in, man. So big shout out to you for pulling up, man. I think this is your first time in the building, man. So welcome to the fam, my G. Who else we got here in the building? Mr. Prav, OG, day one is in the building. What's going on, fam? Good to see you in the building. All right, man. So we down three minutes here, y'all. 3 minutes, y'all. 3 minutes. Shout out to John one time for that super chat, too, man. I definitely appreciate that. He said, Saquon just tweeted, "It is what it is," man. That's not a good look right now. For those of us that want to see this deal go down, that is not a good look. And the Beard reported that from Rap Sheet as well. No deal for Saquon. Yep, I'm just catching up to y'all one time. Valentino in the building. Samuel in the building. Who else we got? Making sure I got all of y'all in here, man, because I appreciate y'all having the notifications on my day ones, man. Y'all pulling up. Could come out here, do an impromptu stream, and y'all still show up. So big shout out to y'all. Formula Fitness is in the building. What's going on, fam? Hope all is well with you over there during this off season. And NYC 1T from Twitter. This is my dude right here. We agree on a lot of takes, man. Appreciate you pulling up in the building and rocking out with the AATB family. All right. So we're looking at literally 2 minutes. It's not looking like a deal is going to go down. When I set up this stream like about 20 minutes ago, I was kind of feeling like this. I was kind of feeling like, yo, I don't see Joe Schoen doing this with two players going down to the wire like this. In my heart of hearts and in my gut, I was feeling like this deal not looking like it's going to go down, and Saquon's going to be forced to play on the tag. Now, the information because like I know a lot about a good chunk of this stuff, but some of the stuff that I don't know, okay, that maybe one of y'all can help me out with in the chat here, is if Saquon doesn't get this deal done here in the next 2 minutes, right? How long do we find out before he's holding out? Do we have all the way till the season starts or until camp starts, or is that something that we could find out possibly here in the next couple of days, couple of weeks? Maybe somebody can help me out with that. I see my man Simeon says Schoen is not the guy. And I've been seeing these takes kind of going around Twitter a good bit. A lot of people talking about this. I just got an update from Bleacher Report as well, too, which I do take their information with a little bit of a grain of salt, but it says Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs don't agree to extensions before today's deadline. So, yeah, it's not going down. We down to the last minute here. We're not about to get some news about Saquon. Y'all let me know. Flood me with y'all thoughts on this. Tell me what y'all are thinking. Is this a smart move? From both perspectives, too, because I think it's pretty obvious that from the New York Giants perspective, with the way the CBA is implemented, this is a smart move for the Giants as an organization as far as like financially, how to save some bucks here, because you don't know what's going to happen going into the second year. If Saquon can't prove he could stay healthy for another season, the second tag for Saquon's probably not even going to be there. For me, on the Saquon side of things, the part that just really, really, really bothers me is that if Saquon don't get this deal, he's not getting the deal this year. It's 4 o'clock, okay? So he's on the tag for this year. If he doesn't get it next year, there's no team is going to sign Saquon Barkley to a long-term deal, a running back approaching 28 years old. He's not going to get the big payday. So I know Saquon Barkley has been one of the higher-paid running backs in the past as far as running backs go, and that's because of how high he was drafted and whatnot, how much money he's made thus far. But to go throughout your career and not get that big payday for a star, I really don't know the last player this has happened to. And I know since I think that's 2011 the CBA was implemented. We've seen 2 rare occasions here with Saquon Barkley and with Daniel Jones. With Daniel Jones, we saw the rare occasion where they opted to not pick up the 5th-year option, and then they went out there and they gave him, the $80 million guaranteed, $160 million contract, which we have not seen that from, I don't think, anybody at the quarterback position. Saquon Barkley, same thing here. We might see a guy who was a top superstar in this league Granted, he had the major injury with the knee injury, but a top superstar in this league who might not ever get to see his big payday. And I think that's extremely unfortunate, man. Y'all let me know what y'all thinking on this one. My man Renee says, we're probably going to be in limbo about whether he'll play against Dallas right up until next week before. And that's in response to what I was saying about when we will know about any kind of holdout. Like, I don't think Saquon Barkley is the kind of guy that's going to hold out. You know, he just strike me as like a, you know, he's the kind of guy who's just going to go to work even if things aren't perfect for him. I think he's still going to go to work and try to put in the work. And now he got to go out there and show people again. Last year was a proven year for Saquon Barkley, and I think he did enough to prove that he deserves some money. And I mean, I could pull up some of these numbers for y'all here right now. 295 carries, 1,312 yards, 4.4 yards per carry, 57 receptions, which was tied for the most on the New York Giants, and 10 touchdowns. He accounts for about 40% of the New York Giants offense. And I know moving forward, that's probably not the way that Mike Kafka and Brian Dable want to operate. They don't want to have a running back taking up this much percentage of the offense. That we know they come from Kansas City, they come from Buffalo, and the way that those two teams are ran, they're not ran behind the running. These are teams that they air the ball out, they pass the ball, they beat you with passing concepts for the most part. And if you look back at what they did in Buffalo when Brian Dable was there, Joe Shane was there, with Shady McCoy, this is very similar. Granted, Shady McCoy was, I think, a little bit later in his career. I'm sure he was a little bit later in his career than Saquon is now. Saquon only being 26. Shady was probably, you know, near that 30 range or something like that. But they allowed Shady to just go out there and, you know, go find your own deal, bro. We don't need your services here. And they've operated off the quarterback being the primary kind of runner, at least to set the pace in Buffalo. I don't know if they are fully invested in Daniel Jones like that, where they think, okay, you know, maybe they are, to be honest. I mean, they gave him the money and they paid Daniel Jones as if he is a franchise quarterback who should be able to handle this. And y'all know, if you watch this show here, when I talk about a franchise quarterback, there's a thin line right there that just says, like, this is what a franchise quarterback is for me. There are quarterbacks that need a running game to rely on, and there are quarterbacks that don't. If you don't need a running game to rely on, you most likely are a franchise quarterback. You guys like Patrick Mahomes, even a guy like Lamar Jackson, when you watch him in Baltimore when he had no weapons, this year I'm extremely looking forward to seeing Lamar Jackson play this year because he finally got some weapons. But these are the kind of guys that everything don't got to be quite perfect around them for them to be able to make plays. I don't know if that's the case with Daniel Jones yet. We really have yet to see Daniel Jones with real weaponry outside of Saquon Barkley. And offensive line-wise, the Giants have been poor since like 2012. The offensive line's been trash for a long time. And now, you know, you're starting to see the defense kind of get things together. I like the direction that this defense is moving in, especially with Wink Martindale calling the shots there, because I think he can maximize the potential of players who otherwise might not be able to make these kind of plays. Last year's a good example of that, with all the injuries that we faced throughout the year, from Thibodeau to McKinney to Aziz to all these players being hurt, you know, pulling guys off, you know, free agency, guys like Fabian Moreau. And you saw Wink Martindale having success in that. So I'm confident in this defense. When you go back to when Saquon first got here in 2018, I believe that was that James Betcher defense, you know, where we brought in a bunch of veterans and whatnot. I remember Antoine Bethea was a part of that squad. That defense was in struggle mode the whole time. So I think that the Giants are headed in a much better direction. We saw last year a good chunk of success, and it ended with that heartbreaker against the Philadelphia Eagles to get, you know, just bashed like that in the playoffs was not a great feeling. And I think it tampered the expectations for Daniel Jones. Had we have gone out on that Minnesota Vikings kind of game, and let's say we don't win that game, but Daniel Jones puts up that performance, a lot of people come into this season, I think, with a lot more faith in Daniel Jones being able to operate without a running game or without a superstar running back like Saquon Barkley. But these numbers say a lot here. Career-wise, Saquon Barkley, this was probably his second best year. You could argue maybe his first best year. Definitely his most touches, his most yards. The yards per carry, I think, is a little bit under what he had in 2018. The receptions, obviously, about half of what he had in 2018. Eli was checking down crazy to Saquon back then. But these numbers, to me, suggest you ought to get paid. But we could say the same thing about Miles Sanders as well. You look at Miles Sanders in Philly. I can't remember who there's a female analyst who does some work for in the kind of YouTube community for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I remember she was saying, like, we need to lock up Miles Sanders. And a lot of people were like, nah, that's not the move. And you see Miles Sanders, the contract that he signed, it's nothing near what Saquon Barkley was trying to get here. So for those of y'all that just pulling up, we 5 minutes past the deadline. No deal for Saquon Barkley. He's going to be playing on the franchise tag. I know a lot of my homies in my group chat are going to be extremely happy about that, because a lot of them wanted to they wanted Joe Shane to hold strong and not pay Saquon Barkley. They're coming at it from the financial perspective of the front office, which I'm not really mad at that take. I think that's the like strategic financial way to look at it. My heart is in this. Y'all know me. I always tell y'all I'm a Giants fan, and a lot of content creators and a lot of people on the internet, they like to talk about like, it's all about the logo on the helmet. And I agree, it is about the logo on the helmet. But at the same time, we're not going to win games without the right players on the field. You need players, and the players are the army. The generals are just as important as the soldiers that are on the front line as well. So I definitely think that, it's one hand wash the other type of vibes here when it comes for players and when it comes to the front office and when it comes to coaching and all of that. You have to make a cohesive unit to make a real run. And some people are a bit divided on that. Some people think, the Giants are going to regress 5-6 wins. 7 wins max. Even Vegas got us at 7.5 wins as the over-under this year. And others are saying it's the bare minimum the Giants are going to win 9-10 games. I'm somewhere in between. I'm waiting for a little bit more information. I'm waiting for just to get a little bit closer to the season to begin so I can like solidify, okay, these are the guys on the roster. We got a ton of little slot wide receivers out here that we don't know which guys are actually going to be on the field. Jameson, Crowder, Sterling Shepard, all of that, right? Like these guys who are veterans, some of these guys who are young coming back off injuries, the Wan'Dale Robinsons of the world, Paris Campbell, who's been hurt his entire career dating back to every year except last season. Last season was a really good year for him. So there's a lot of question marks. I'm never one of them dudes that's going to jump out there and give an egregious opinion, without having a little bit of data behind it. So I'm going to definitely be waiting to get a little bit more information. Let me see what y'all talking about here in the chat. Just a little bit more. This stream not going to be too long. I might be here for like maybe till 4:30 maximum, something like that. I'm going to kind of feel the temperature and just kind of gauge how y'all vibing over here, and we'll see how things go. But I should get the graphics department. If you know the graphics department, big shout out to the graphics department to update one of these graphics here. So 4 p.m. deadline, definitely gone. Saquon's going to be playing on the contract. Let's see how y'all feeling about this one time. I'll go through a couple of y'all thoughts on this one, and then we'll see how things go, and we'll probably just get to wrap this up. Shout out my homie Juice Jones one time in the building, man. Appreciate you pulling up, fam. Let me see what y'all talking. My man James Williams says we should have signed that man. And James, I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm a little bit surprised. So you got to give me some why in the chat because, just with the way the Daniel Jones stuff was handled, I know your opinions on that and how we played that. You didn't like that contract, overpaid. And it could be as simple as you just like the player better, which I'm in that boat too. I do think that when it comes to the hierarchy of running backs, Saquon Barkley is higher than when it comes to Daniel Jones in the hierarchy of quarterbacks. That's not to say that Daniel Jones can't go out here and get it done. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Daniel Jones can do with a weapon like Darren Waller on the field. And I'm working on some content here. I'm working on a video. I do got a concept for next Monday's video to come out. So make sure y'all keep y'all eyes peeled. Monday morning, we're going to drop a new video. It's going to be about Darren Waller. I'll let the cat out the bag right now. I got some information dating back a little bit, and I wanted to cook up a video about that. So make sure y'all check that out. But yeah, James, let me know the why. I want to know the why you think we should have signed that man. Because I think we should have signed him because he deserved it. This guy's been through all the turmoil that started from 2018, the loss of OBJ, the retirement of Eli Manning, the drafting of Daniel Jones, all these coaches, these 3 coaches, all the excuses we could have made for Daniel Jones. And I don't mean to like harp on the word excuses, but like just for lack of a better word, all the reasons, we could say why Daniel Jones hasn't had a fair shake and it's difficult to assess him. Saquon Barkley has been seeing a ton of success during that time. And why can't we say that? Why can't the ceiling be a little bit higher for Saquon Barkley entering 2023? Is it just because he's already seen success? I could see all these numbers going up if this offensive line gets a little bit solidified, if some of these younger guys on the line could step up. If JMS could come in at center and be a day one starter, that's going to help this offensive line in a vast way. So we'll see how that goes. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what James says on this one. My man Juice said, this is the talk I was waiting on. I feel you, man. Like, we've been talking about this whole Saquon Barkley deal and, or lack of a deal on Twitter for weeks now, man, for months now. We've been just hitting the same nail over and over and over. And some people are of the thinking that, oh, man, you can supplement that with 2 other running backs. Now, we tried that, right? Didn't we just try that the year that Saquon Barkley was hurt? We had Devontae Booker, I was about to say Devin Booker, Devontae Booker and Wayne Gallman. And we saw that experiment and how it went. It wasn't that great. And then when Saquon Barkley came back off the knee injury and we still had Booker on the roster and whatnot, it still wasn't that great. So I just think that, like, people like to use these outlier situations, right? Let me not say outlier situations, but there are situations that aren't, like, always happening. Like, a 6th-round running back like Pachenko just coming out of nowhere and being a straight beast and could be maybe a top 5, top 10 running back someday. Who knows, right? Definitely a tough runner, doesn't get a lot of carries over there in Kansas City, but handles business, right? But every running back that you draft in the later rounds is not going to pan out like that. We saw it with Gary Brightwell just a couple years ago, right? We've seen it time after time after time with running backs, whether it be drafting them in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round or in the later rounds. Shout out to the homie Renee because he listed some running backs that the New York Giants had drafted outside of the 1st round. Man, none of them hit. None of them hit. So this whole thing of like, oh, I'll just go out here and get me a Nick Chubb. Like, it's not that easy. I was talking to Sal about this on Twitter just recently, and I posted, and this came from a conversation where I was posting a quarterback Super Bowl win statistics saying that only 6 of the 61 first-round quarterbacks who have been drafted in the past 20 years, only 6 of them have a Super Bowl of the 61. So when we talk about a percentage and a hit percentage here, right, why do people just ignore the quarterback situation? Think about how many quarterback contracts have been, the second contract that these quarterbacks get, have been absolute trash, and the team regrets it in the end. You could say that the Raiders regretted Derek Carr contract. You could say that, you couldn't even say, the Eagles regretted the Carson Wentz contract. There are so many quarterbacks who sign contracts where we're looking at it kind of puzzling. The Russell Wilson deal this past year, if he don't get his act together, it's going to look crazy. Deshaun Watson, these guaranteed money signing quarterbacks that it's not looking that great. And we are in a new day and age. The CBA, I believe, implemented 2011. You're looking at just like 15 years ago, these deals were implemented where players are now coaches and front offices are trying to take advantage of players' first 4-year windows as rookies so they don't got to pay these guys on the back end. And I get it. You got to be stingy with your money. And you got to make sure that you're paying the right players. But we can't sit here and act like every contract by the quarterbacks that they sign always works out. If I go through them all, there's going to be a ton of them that didn't work out. Ryan Tannehill, you could put him on that list. Any quarterback who ain't top tier right now that signed a second deal, you could say it didn't work. You could say Jared Goff's deal didn't work. He got him to a Super Bowl, so I don't know if we could really say that. He did get him to a Super Bowl and played pretty well while he was a Ram. But nonetheless, I think you could look at every position. I was also talking about wide receivers. It makes absolutely 0 sense that Corey Davis from the New York Jets is on a deal right now that is more than what Saquon Barkley is trying to chase or was trying to chase before the 4 p.m. deadline. Corey Davis making over $30 million on a 3-year deal. Hunter Renfrow making more money than Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs. You cannot tell me that a bottom tier or mid-tier wide receiver 2 is more valuable to a team than a top 3 or top 5 running back. And these are the points I've been reiterating on my Twitter just daily. Just daily been reiterating this. And people are like, oh, well, it's the market. It's the market. I understand it's the market. The market is what it is. But that doesn't mean that people shouldn't be trying to fight to change what the market is. You know, this is why the CBA was implemented in the first place, because you had guys like Sam Bradford going out here making a ton of money and not producing on the field. These first-round rookie quarterbacks that were coming into the league were getting paid big money before they even did anything. So some people are of the thinking that the contract needs to be, oh, what are you going to do for me in the future? I'm gonna keep it 1,000% funky with you. The Dallas Cowboys did not sign Ezekiel Elliott to that six-year deal just a couple of years ago because they thought, oh, this guy's going to increase in productivity in the next 6 years. He was a workhorse for the first portion of his career. He deserved the money. That's what it is. So it's a balance of it. It's a little bit of both. It's like this guy has shown us he can play, so we got to pay him. And it's a little bit of the projection about how long you think this player can be effective. So I just think that it's super unfair the way that the NFL is handling these running back contracts. You know, I don't know if I can't say it's right or wrong, you know, because it's their organization. They are the owners of this team. If they don't want to pay a player, that's on them. But at the end of the day, I just think running backs are getting the short end of the stick. Austin Eckler was on the Rich Eisen show talking about it. This guy led his team in targets, in receptions. He led his team in receptions by 30 receptions. Keenan Allen is over there being paid to be a number 1. We talk about longevity, durability. We talk about all these things, right? Keenan Allen is not a top 2 wide receiver when it comes to receptions or yards over there with the Los Angeles Chargers this past season, simply because he wasn't available and he was hurt for most of the season. So this narrative should be applied to all positions. Yeah, the shelf life or the lifespan of a running back is a lot less than some of these other positions. But, man, tell me a wide receiver who's signing past 30 and really, really making a true impact on the team that he signs with. There's not going to be many. I guarantee you most of them that sign contracts probably fall off a cliff just as fast as the running backs fall off a cliff when they turn 27. So I do think there should be a benchmark, obviously, of where teams look at it and go, I can't get this guy a big deal because he's 27 years old. He's a running back. He's already had an ACL injury, whatever it may be. But in Saquon's case, I think you're somewhere in the middle of that. Like, dude's only 26 years old. So I just don't think you can be looking at it like, oh, man, next year is Saquon Barkley's last good year and then it's going to fall off a cliff. Build around him. A couple of million more over 12 million or 10 million this year for the franchise tag and then 12 million next year. It's not going to break the back of the New York Giants. It's not a quarterback contract. So I don't really get it. But Joe Schoen, they stood firm on this one. I'll give him props on that. He stood firm on this one because when the Daniel Jones deal went down, a lot of people was looking at that one like, man, is this Dave Gettleman all over again? You know, questioning that because we heard this win while rebuild stuff. We've been hearing that for a while. And the difference is first year with Joe Schoen, it actually worked. It actually worked. So if he can continue to do that, I'm all for it. I think we do got the right guys in place in the front office. A couple more years, I'm going to be able to gauge this a little bit better because y'all remember how this went with Joe Judge and how it went with Dave Gettleman in the beginning. Everybody was like, oh, man, we're on our way. 6 wins, we on our way. Missed the playoffs by 1 game, we on our way. And we saw how that all ended. It was a straight-up debacle. So I don't want to be that guy to jump out on a limb like I told y'all. I need more information before I could really assess the quality GM that Joe Schoen is. But so far, so good. I like the signing of Paris Campbell. I like the signing of Darren Waller. I like this past draft, too, man. I really like Jalen Hyatt as a speedster kind of wide receiver who can come in here and really make some plays, man. And JMS at center was a great pick. You got him around later than most people thought you could get him. And defensively, drafting Deonte Banks, I think that was amazing. You know, I live in D.C. and I was born and raised in Maryland for the most part. So, like, I used to go to Terps tailgates and all that stuff back in the day. So it's good to see a fellow Terpan sign with my team. And I'm working on some more content with that as well, too, because I do got a decent relationship with my homie, Coach Loxley is his uncle. So I'm trying to get a little bit of, like, insight from Coach Loxley, not only on Deonte Banks, but also on Brian Dable as well, because they coached together when they were at Alabama. So we'll see how things go. But shout out to Juice, man. Big shout out to you, fam. Good to see you in the building, man. And we got a link. It's been a while. We definitely got to link up. Let me see what else people talking about. You said all facts. Let me see what he said. All facts. Saquon is the best fit the Giants are going to have with DJ, especially battling back from all those years of injuries and really putting the team on his back. Yeah, and people think Saquon kind of tailed off at the end of the year, and I don't think that's really the case. It was a lack of it's weird because the middle of the year, right, when he had the shoulder issues, I do think that he was kind of wearing down a little bit, but there was a point there I thought towards the end of the season where he kind of ramped things back up. And when you look at the last 4 games, I was telling Marshall this on Chat Sports, when you look at the last 4 games of the season, when you include the playoffs, it's Saquon Barkley's highest yards per carry in a 4-game stretch in the whole entire season. He just wasn't getting the carries. Last 2 games, 9 carries against both the Minnesota Vikings and against the Philadelphia Eagles. And especially against the Eagles, I thought it was the wrong game plan to try to go out there and drop back and throw the ball on every down. Started that game with 4 3-and-outs and 2 turnovers. So that's just not the vibes right there. But, yeah, Juice, I definitely agree with you on this one. And James came back one time. James said the why is Ravens are paying Odell $15 million next year for a guy who hasn't played in over a year. Saquon is worth the same amount for what he brings to our team on and off the field. I said something about this on Twitter, too. You know, like, I forget how long it's been for Odell Beckham since he hasn't played. Rich Eisen was talking about it on his podcast, too. I want to say it was like a year. It was like at least a year. I want to say it was about a year that he hadn't played, right? You got a guy who's really coming right off the big injury, and they gave him $15 million. Now, I do think that they overpaid Odell Beckham a little bit. Shout out Nick DeWick. I got the signed Odell Beckham jersey right here back there in that little cubby. And Odell is one of my favorite players ever. Like, Odell was just the swaggiest dude in New York. And even though those years we were losing a ton of games, I enjoyed watching Odell play. And 2018, when we brought Saquon in, I liked the pairing of them. And when we traded Odell, I was extremely upset. So, but I still think that he did get overpaid. I do think that $15 million, even if Odell got 10, I thought that was kind of like, damn, dude, like he's a great player at this point in time in his career. But the injuries are definitely a question mark. But I agree with you on this, James. I think this is good reasoning. There are a lot, and I said a couple of them too. There are a lot of players out there that are making more money than guys like Jacobs, Saquon Barkley. Hell, even the top running back contract in the league in CMC, $16 million a year. I'm sure there's some people out there making more than that where you will question that if their value is more important to their team than CMC's is and was to the Carolina Panthers and is, now to the San Francisco 49ers. And San Francisco 49ers are a good example of something here. Kyle Shanahan, okay, we all know great running philosophies. He's been able to maneuver and have a good rushing attack pretty much everywhere he went, but especially in San Francisco with running backs that aren't like the top big names like a Saquon Barkley, right? But at the end of the day, he had Raheem Mostert. He had Wilson Jr. over there, a couple other guys. They even bringing in a wide receiver to come into the backfield and Deebo Samuel to take some snaps, right? And Deebo's like, bro, I ain't no running back. You better pay me some more money if we're going to have me out here taking carries. But even still, the 49ers, with a roster that everyone would have said even 2 years ago is completely built outside of the quarterback. Even them, they went out there and spent money on a good running back. They went out there and acquired a guy in CMC because they knew if the rushing schemes are going to be good with guys you drafted later rounds or guys who are producing half the kind of output that a CMC is doing, and you have a coach like Kyle Shanahan who knows how to scheme it up, just imagine what that does for you when you bring in a guy like CMC. So to me, that's just a really false narrative that a lot of people are running with. So, James, I definitely agree with you on this one. Shout out Stephen Ars one time in the building. He said, we can't blame Saquon for wanting to get paid because he went through the ringer and bad times as a Giant while still balling 3 years out of 5. Now there's brighter days, deserve to be a part of it. Yeah, man, that's how I look at it. And for those of y'all that saw the video that I put out about the Saquon situation, I released that one 2 days, actually 1 day after he had the camp in New Jersey for the kids, and he spoke to the media and whatnot, right? And when I talked about Saquon in the video, I was thinking about that same thing. It's this is about respect and loyalty. Those were the 2 words that I used. And I said, all day long, I'm going to take respect over loyalty. A lot of people want to take loyalty, right? But sometimes when you're loyal to a fault, right? It's you could be over there completely messing up. And if I'm loyal, I'm just going to be like, yo, nah, that's the guy. If I'm loyal to Mike Glennon, okay, he goes out there and he fails, I'm going to still be like, oh, no, the offensive line, I'm going to try to find a way. When you respect the player, it's a different thing. Now, I do think this is a bit of a balance of both of them, and I said this in the video. The Giants, for one, I think if they respect Barkley, they should have got the deal done. This, to me, shows that maybe they don't respect him and possibly aren't loyal to him, both in this. But you got to respect what this man did on the field. That's what and if you don't allow him to just go somewhere else and get a deal somewhere else, Saquon has through and through repeated a billion times he wants to be a Giant for the rest of his career. He wants to retire a Giant. And I'm feeling for him because he went through the ringer, as Stephen R. said. He did go through the ringer, man. And he's been the one thing that's been pretty solid throughout this whole time outside of that knee injury. He's been the one thing that's been solid. So I think he deserves it. This is the business part of the NFL that a lot of people don't like. This is it, And I think there's a lot of things that are unfair with how things go down with the contracts. And somebody told me on Twitter, well, life ain't fair. And I was like, I feel you, man. But at the end of the day, man, you should be compensated for your value. I don't care what you do. If you play football and make millions, or if you work a regular job and you make tens, whatever, you make hundreds, whatever it may be, you should be paid accordingly to what you deserve. And you have to set the foundation of what you're worth. That's a principle to life. If you don't tell me you're worth a certain amount of money, I'm going to pay you what I think you deserve. That's how it's going to be. And it seems like that's what the Giants are doing here, even though Saquon Barkley is repeatedly telling them he's worth more money. And I think anyone who's a Giants fan who's watched football in the last couple of years, we know Saquon is worth more than that little $10 million on the franchise tag. So, yeah, I definitely agree with you on this one too, Stephen Arch, man. You brought up some good points here one time. 1T says no one cries about cap when wide receiver threes get paid or Keenan Allen doesn't play, but running backs, pitchforks, and torches. And me and 1T, we agree a lot on stuff because I just feel like me and him see it with just a balanced, rational eye. It's I understand what people are saying about let him play on the tag. I get that too. But at the end of the day, it's there's no balance to the perspectives that people are presenting here, especially on Twitter. It's okay, you say all that, but when Corey Davis signs the deal and he doesn't perform, no one says a thing. Why? Because in the grand scheme of it, $30 million over 3 years is not going to hurt any franchise. So I'm with you on this 1T. This is bars right here for sure. The pitchforks and the torches, they definitely come out for no reason when it comes to running backs. And I do think that has to do with a lot of these narratives that people hammer. They just keep hammering the narrative. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with a first-round running back. It's not going to happen. You're not going to win a Super Bowl if you pay a running back. Running backs fall off the cliff and all that. I think you got to look at each particular player in their own bubble. Yeah, you got to weigh in the data. Obviously, you got to weigh in the data. But if we just consistently just use data, then we can't assess players like a Lamar Jackson when he comes in the league and he's tearing up the league with his legs. Or another guy who, to me, the data just does not speak volumes is Justin Fields with the Chicago Bears. Like, to me, that dude got potential to be one of the best quarterbacks in the entire league. The numbers don't say so. The surrounding team around him has not been that great either. And even when they acquired a couple of players at the during the back half of this past season, those guys, they didn't come in and really make an impact. So, I'm looking at guys like Chase Claypool like that. That might have been a mistake on the Bears to go out there and try to bring in a guy like that unless he really get his act together and can maybe get back to his, his ways during his rookie season. It ain't looking like it to me. From the limited snaps and targets he got in 2022, Chase Claypool is starting to look a little bit cooked, and I don't say that too often about players, but he's starting to look a little bit cooked or disinterested, or he's not working hard enough, and I don't like to question that either, but it's something going on over there with Chase Claypool. I hope he gets it together, and I think that's why they doubled down and went out there and made the move for DJ Moore. So I'm looking forward to seeing Justin Fields this year. I think he's in for a big year. We'll see what happens with him. But you can't just analyze people in a data bubble, and y'all know I love data. If you tune into Authentic and the Beard, y'all know it. I'm one of the people that I'm just digging through the data all day long. I sit here in my recording studio all day. I work out of here. I chill out of here. I run Xbox out of here. I play Apex Legends, Authentic Music on Xbox, by the way. I do all of that right here. So I'm always looking at a computer. And people be like, I get people on Twitter that be like, wow, how do you waste your time always looking through these numbers? I'm like, I'm here, bro. Like, I've afforded the luxury to be able to sit here on a computer all day long by the grind I put in years ago with this music shit. So don't tell me what to do with my time. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. But 1T, appreciate you pulling up, man. I don't think I saw 1T here during the season, man, but welcome to the fam. You know what it is, man. AATB in the building. Yes, sir. I see the man Perry Mack in the building. What's up, Perry Mack? Hope all is well. I just want to see who else is weighing in on this a little bit, man, and then we'll kind of wrap this up, and I'm trying to get some more live streams here and some more Giant Overreactions on Mondays. This was the perfect Monday to do it. Y'all know what it is. I normally do these at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday during the season, and I see it. I just looked up at the number of people in here. There's a lot of y'all in here. I'm sure some of y'all are new. During the year, we do 4 podcasts live like this a week. We do a preview. We do a recap. Our previews are on Tuesdays, recap on Thursdays. On Monday, I do a Giant Overreaction show that pretty much looks back at the past game on Sunday, and we just break down some overreactions that we see on Twitter or national media. It's probably my favorite show that we do, man, because Giants Nation shows up heavy for those. And then on Sunday mornings, we do a fantasy-driven, very laid-back show called The Parlay. So if you dig into vibes, man, definitely hit the subscribe button, man. We just hit 3,000 subscribers, too, man. So big shout-out to all of y'all, man. Like, when me and the Beard first started this thing back in, 2019, before the 2019 season, I'd have never thought that, a couple of years would have passed by and we'd have 3,000 people dedicated to showing up to our streams and rocking out with Authentic and the Beard. Because, to be honest, man, like, I'm a musician, bro. I'm an artist. I produce records. I love football. But at the end of the day, I didn't think that this many people would be tuning in to watch us talk about football. So big salute to y'all, man. We just hit that 3,000 mark. And for us, that's a major milestone, man. So definitely big shout out to the gang one time. Y'all know what it is. All right, let me kind of switch the pace up here just a little bit one time, man. Y'all know what it is, and kind of chill this out. My emotions have not settled in yet. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, when I get to streaming, you just get into a little flow kind of, and the emotions have not settled in about what really just went down and what really just transpired. So, I'm gonna go through some more of y'all stuff, and we'll see how things is vibing here one time. And I think I'll get y'all out of here in about a good 15 minutes. Shout out to Skills one time in the building. I don't remember seeing Skills in the building. He says, man, DJ taking us to the bowl. It is what it is. I hope you're right, man. I think, like, the Giants might need a couple of more pieces to really make that true Super Bowl run. But I'm with you on this part of it, Skills. Like, I'm not one of these people that's like, yo, you got to build a Super Bowl Philadelphia Eagles roster. I mean, they didn't even win the damn Super Bowl with that roster. But I'm not one of those people that's like, you got to build the roster. You got to build the Super Bowl roster. I'm like, yo, just build the best possible roster you can to try to go out there and win games, get the right coaching staff around them, and make sure that when your window opens for you to be able to get into a Super Bowl or get to a championship game, that you're prepared and you're ready. These people who go around with these narratives like NFL teams are tanking, to me, that's BS. Ain't no NFL team going to go out there and try to lose every game. Now, they might not invest the chips, and they might feel like, hey, this ain't the year to invest the chips on certain players and go all in and push all the chips to the front of the poker table. But even in still, they're trying to win all the games. Me and Tainer always talk about it a lot. You know, the Seattle Seahawks was a team that I just kind of felt like, yo, they going to be all right next year when we were talking about it entering the 2022 season. And he was like, man, I think they tanking. I was like, man, I don't know, bro. I really think if you look back at Geno Smith's games when Russell Wilson was hurt last year, he played 5 games. The dude was playing great. He had over a 94 passer rating in 3 out of the 4 starts that he had and 4 out of the 5 games. So I saw a little something in Geno that made me go, man, they got enough weapons over there, right? Like, you don't need a unicorn quarterback when you got guys like Lockett and DK Metcalf on the outside. They had a decent running game, although I know Kenneth Walker was drafted that year entering. I didn't expect Kenneth Walker to go as crazy as he did, but they had some pieces over there, man. Noah Fant was being acquired. I'm like, yo, they could be all right. So for me, teams don't tank. I'm not going to dismiss my man Skill saying that DJ could take us to the bowl. As a Giants fan, my brother, I hope you 1,000% correct, because all I want to do is celebrate Super Bowls and be able to laugh at the rest of the division when we do so, like I did in 2007 and 2011. I still keep those in my back pocket for anybody that want to talk outside of the Eagles, because right now the Eagles, they kind of got the one up on us, man. 2 Super Bowl appearances in, the last 5-6 years. So they definitely are up there, and a Super Bowl win. So they up there. I'm trying to close this gap between us and the Philadelphia Eagles a little bit, or at least be ready to just compete with them, because you never know what could happen on any given day, man. Like, we saw this in 2011. Patriots, Tom Brady, Randy Moss, Bill Belichick, juggernaut team, undefeated, all that good stuff. I, even as a fan, was going into that game like, we probably going to lose. But, hey, that's why they play the games, and the rest is history. New York Giants go out there and they beat the New England Patriots and got us another ring that year. So, and then got us another ring in 2011. So we know as Giants fans, man, shit can happen for sure. We know that. But shout out to Skills, man. That's a extreme take, but I'm not going to I ain't going to just dismiss it. It's an extreme take, but I'm not going to dismiss it because I hope you're right, my brother. Let me see. Simeon says that Galladay stole money for years from this team. Now we nickel and dime Saquon. Yeah, which is crazy. And you know, I don't have any ill will towards Kenny Galladay. I was extremely on the boat of bring that guy in. And we brought him in. It didn't work out. I don't know if Gettleman just overlooked the injury. I don't know what Gettleman. I don't know what he was doing. Because Kenny Galladay right now, there's no teams really acquiring for him. And we just never saw that true Detroit type of Kenny Galladay. But no ill will towards him. I don't think he stole the money because they gave him the money, right? If I come to your crib and you say, hey, man, I need you to come out here and clean my yard, for the next 3 months. Just do your best you can do. And I come out there and I clean your yard for the next 3 months, bro. You can't, if it ain't up to your standards, you can't be like, hey, man, I'm taking my money back. Can't do that. Can't do that, okay? Especially if you agreed on me to just be there to just clean your yard. All right? Now, if we had stipulations, hey, and this is why I think it's very important to put incentives in contracts. Don't just be throwing $74 million a guy's way without some thresholds that this guy has to meet. And I think that's where Dave Gettleman completely screwed up that contract. So Galladay, I wish you well, bro. I hope Galladay's I hope an injury is not holding him back. That's what I hope. I hope that he can get on a roster and he's healthy, most importantly, and be able to maybe re-spark and rejuvenate the rest of his career, man, because he was a constant professional for the most part through and through throughout that whole thing. He never really cried and complained about the playtime too much. There was a couple of interviews there. He kind of said, I deserve to be on the field and all that. But end of the day, I thought Galladay was a true professional, straight up. Let me see what the homie Renee talking about. Renee said, you also can't always rely on rookie running backs because eventually the kids will see there's no career in playing running back and switch. That a lot of people been talking about this lately too, Renee. When you look at youth football all the way down to the Pee Wee level, going to high school and going to college, right? A lot of people been talking about this. Why would you want to play running back and dedicate yourself, your life, forget yourself, dedicate your whole entire life to a career that the lifespan average is 4 years? Why would you want to do that? If I'm a kid right now, I'm going to be kicking footballs once I come out the womb. That's what I'm going to be working on because they get paid big bucks. They don't get hit. They barely on the field. All they got to do is go out there and swing the leg. So I'm in agreement with you here, man. It's hard to gauge it year to year. A lot of people who tune into this show, they can vouch for this too. Mid-season, when Saquon was just going crazy, Giants go out 7-2. We seeing other running backs around the league doing damage. Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, a few others. I was starting to be like, man, is this starting to go back towards a running league? Are running backs going to become a commodity again? And then, you get towards the end of the year in the cold months and you see a lot of teams start to throw the ball a little bit more. And, that narrative I was running with, kind of got nipped in the bud. So it's year to year. I can't say for sure that kids will, eventually be like, there's no career in this. We don't know. Maybe somebody can re-spark the running back market. But right now, that I gotta agree with you. That's what it's looking like. That's definitely what it's looking like right now. Shout out to the homie Bluegrass one time in the building, man. Bluegrass, you be at every one of our streams. Big salute to you, bro. I appreciate you pulling up. You know what it is, man. Let me see. Perry Mack says, "Can we say running back is the hardest position to play?" I'm gonna say absolutely not. Running back, a lot of that is natural. Let me keep it funky with you. Even when I saw Bijan Robinson, he was on some podcast. I can't remember the exact podcast. He was on a podcast. He was with Nick Rollins. And listen, y'all. Sometimes I run into content where I'm like, I don't even want to tell people about this content. It's so damn good. And it's not Nick Rollins. It's Alex Rollins. If you are not subscribed to Alex Rollins NFL, you are definitely missing out. This dude got some of the best content when it comes to 22-man footage and breaking down like the why stuff is not working for certain players. And it be from a quarterback perspective for the most part, man, but some of the best, just some of the best content. And when you see the way that he dissects things from the quarterback position, I don't think there's any way we have to say quarterback is the most difficult position. But he had Bijan Robinson on his podcast, right? And when I heard Bijan Robinson like breaking down the way that he approaches running and finding lanes and whatnot, it really wasn't like it wasn't methodical at all. He literally described it like the keys on a piano. And he was like, I just go to the next key. He's like, especially when it comes to zone running schemes is what they were breaking down on this particular podcast. I recommend all of y'all check it out. And the dope part about Alex Rollins' content is all quick. It's all like 12 minutes long and you out of there. The dude is the most concise like content creator I know. But just the way that Bijan was talking about it was just like, I just like go down the line and look for the lane. I'm just like, and he really just didn't sound like there was too much intellect to it. So I think a lot of it is more like natural given ability and training and strength and agility training and all that for running backs. I would go quarterback corner. I would go cornerback after corner. I would go corner after quarter. I think, just when wide receivers dictate where the route is going, playing cornerback is so tough. A lot of those guys that excel out of zone schemes, I think that's a little bit different. But when you got to go man-to-man and you going up against a guy like Jitters or you going up against a Jamar Chase, good luck with that. I think that's very difficult to do. Left tackle, I think, is pretty difficult in the NFL, too. I don't know where running back would really be. I'd say maybe top 10 positions as far as difficulty. But definitely I can't say number one. I couldn't do that. But shout out to Perry Mack one time in the building. Jeffrey says, I hope he plays week 1. I'm with you on that too, man. And I think he will. We need him. We have to get off to a hot start this year. Y'all know that was the main part of the success from last year. 7-2 in the first 9 games. You could chalk it up. That's why we were in the playoffs. Keep it funky with you. Like the last 10 games? I think it was last 10 games, only two wins. Like, that ain't that. The way we finished the season, it was really just a big win against the Colts. Big game against the Vikings in the regular season where we played them fairly well. And then the tie against Washington, we leaving plays out there and stuff, man. The second half of that tie against Washington was just terrible. But we did beat Washington the second go-round. I thought we controlled that game defensively, and Saquon closed it out real nicely. And the Vikings playoff win. But, like, outside of that, man, the last couple of months for Giants football was not good. So I definitely think the Giants got to get off to a hot start. And Dallas, you want to catch them slipping. Dak Prescott has owned us, man. Dak Prescott is 10-2 against the New York Giants lifetime. We got to find a way to fix that, man. And I don't think Saquon Barkley is the reason why that hasn't been done. I went back and looked at some old games. 2018, man, the Week 17 game. This is how me and Renee was actually chopping it up and talking on Twitter recently. That Week 17 game against the Dallas Cowboys in 2018 where Cole Beasley caught the post route in the back of the end zone, got his knee down on 4th and 15. Giants were up by 7 points with a minute left in the game. And Dak Prescott throws a bomb down the field to Cole Beasley. They score the touchdown. They go for 2 and go up 1. Eli Manning comes back down the field, man. We can't convert on 4th down and end up losing that game. Those heartbreaking games like that were just so terrible to watch back in the day. And I remember just looking at that game, like Saquon Barkley, bro, like he was not the problem in that game. Dude was going off, had some big runs. And I'll tell you what stood out in 2018 in those Dallas games. That man Cody Latimer was out there making some plays, bro. Definitely was out there making some plays. So big shout out to him, man. And I think just Saquon's been fairly consistent when he's healthy, and we got a guy in Waller who's going to come in here and supposed to help this offense out. The big question mark is health. We got a guy in Paris Campbell supposed to come in here, help this offensive unit out and be an upgrade from what we had from Richie James, which I think that a lot of people might be overlooking that, right? I think that's going to be a pretty tall task for Paris Campbell to eclipse what Richie James did in this offense last year. And you can't forget that when Wan'Dale Robinson was healthy, Richie James was pretty much on the bench. Like, he wasn't getting no targets, no snaps. Snap share was extremely low. And then finally when Wan'Dale Robinson got hurt, that's when you saw Richie James come back and start to get some more snaps. So I think it's going to be difficult for Paris Campbell to eclipse what Richie James did. We're going to be looking at Wan'Dale Robinson in the slot to help out with that a little bit too. I'm iffy with the Wan'Dale Robinson stuff because he's coming off the big injury. So we don't know how that's going to be implemented right off the bat entering week 1. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Shout out to my day one right here, man. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. He says, good to see the AATB fan. Please like, sub, and ring that bell. I definitely appreciate that, fam. Appreciate that super chat, man. I'm so excited to get back and into a frequent streaming schedule during the season, man. Like, I'm hyped for this year. The Giants are coming off our best year in the past 5-6 seasons, man. Since 2016, this is our best year. I want to get back to winning the division. I know it was great to get to the playoffs last year as a wild card and win a playoff game, which that we ain't done that since 2011. But I want to get back to winning these divisions. That's what I'm looking forward to. So we got to get the personnel out here. And, these players just got to go out there and execute. I think we got the coaches. I'm pretty sure we got the right people in the front office now. Now it's just about finishing out, rounding out the personnel out here, adding some more depth to this team, which they've done a good job already, man. They brought in some great depth pieces already. I think we need a little bit more depth at linebacker, maybe a little more depth in the secondary as well. But I like the direction we're headed in so far, so I'm not mad at that. Let me see. My man Barry is in the building one time. He said, "What up, homie? Long time. Glad to hear the stream, man. Appreciate you pulling up, Barry." It's been a strange last hour here. I'll say it flew by. I really thought the deal was going to get done, and I thought it would have been real dope for this to be like a celebration kind of type of stream. Instead, I think a lot of hope was deflated once this contract didn't get done, and Saquon's going to have to come out here and play on the contract. Somebody put this in the chat earlier. They said that Saquon tweeted out and he said it is what it is. And I have a saying, I said this in a rap one time back on I wouldn't say 2016. It is what it is, and it ain't what it once was. The love ain't the same. That's what it is. That's what it is. So I know Saquon Barkley is a little, disheartened on this Monday, but nonetheless, you're going to have to go out there and get the job done. And, man, it's $10 million on the line. Things could be a little bit worse, but I am a little bit concerned about Saquon Barkley just off the fact that if they tag him twice, man, it's going to be tough to get a contract. So we'll see how that goes. My man Gavin is in the building one time. Gavin says, I love Saquon, but this is about what's best for the Giants. There was a money amount that Shane didn't want to go, I guess, over. It's about money making sense. Since it don't, it is what it is. Facts. I mean, yeah, from a front office perspective, you got to play hardball here, man. You can't just be giving out dollars. It's just interesting to see this happening with Saquon. I just think that's really interesting because this is a star player for the Giants. When it comes to the hierarchy of the best players on our team, he's up there at the top for me. I think he should be at the top 3 for at least most fans, I do think Dexter Lawrence and Andrew Thomas are definitely guys you could argue for sure are more of a top priority for this team moving forward, especially with their positions offering a little bit more longevity. I do think that they could be more important. I would never disagree with anybody who has that take. But for me, I think Saquon should be a part of this particular future. Y'all know after the season, I was one of the people that was kind of not for the Daniel Jones signing. My whole thinking was, tag Daniel Jones. I thought he was going to be Daniel Jones was going to get the tag, to be honest, and I thought maybe they were going to work out a deal with Saquon Barkley. Being that you signed Daniel Jones, and there are some question marks there at the quarterback position. I'm not going to say a lot or nothing like that. I'm by no means a Daniel Jones hater. If you know me and you've watched what I do over here on Authentic and the Beard, it's been a lot like this, and that's how Daniel Jones' career has been. I try to assess it for what I see and the play I see on the field, and I do take into consideration this guy has not had a lot of help, and the cards dealt were not that great. But I thought he was going to be the guy to probably get the tag, especially after they declined the 5th-year option. Instead, they signed him, and I think with that signing and bringing back a lot of these players, man, it's a 1-year deal. I think you could find a way to sign Saquon to, 3 years maybe, give him 2 years guaranteed, That's not going to happen here. And I think the chances of that happening next year are even less likely than it was entering this year. So, I want to see Saquon Barkley retire a Giant. We'll see how it goes, man. He's going to need another big year for them to consider anything. He's going to have another big year, but he's going to have an outlier year in 2023 for things to happen in 2024. So we'll see how things go. I'm just scrolling down here, seeing what y'all talking about, man. Shout out to the homie one time, Sedan, I might be pronouncing that wrong. Not signing running backs that are on a free agency may be collusion from the owners. That's another good thing to bring up. I feel you on that too. Shout out to the homie Oscar on Raider one time. He says, you don't get paid what you deserve. You get paid based on what you're projected to do. See, and I disagree with that. I do think that, like, where do you think the projections come from? Projections come from what you have done in the past. So there has to be a little bit of a balance there. I don't think that it's 100% off of a projection. That's how I got to look at it. Like, why would we call things like prove it years and all that? Why would we say that? I just think it's harder to pay running backs in 2023 than it is any other position because of the lifespan of the running back. MG's in the building. MG said washed up, injury prone. I thought he was going to have a third one. That's why. Giants are a trash team. What else we got, MG? You got anything else? Pay Daniel Jones. Pay Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith held out 93, came back, did his thing. Cowboys lost their first 2 games. Emmitt Smith came in, started doing damage. He said, Terrell Davis. I like these bold capital letter statements. Shout out to MG one time in the building, man, rocking with us over here. Don't sound like he's a New York Giants fan one time, but yeah, we definitely appreciate you in the building, man. All opinions are welcome here at AATB. Y'all know what it is, man. Roy Williams in the building said long time. Shout out Roy in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. John says, of course, Saquon was 50% of our offense last season. What did Dable actually have to work with besides Barkley? Daniel Jones. I'll say that. And that's about it, to be honest. I mean, there wasn't really many other weapons out there. In the back half of the season, I like what Isaiah Hodgins did. I think Richie James was a guy that was pretty looked over. A decent security blanket for Daniel Jones. Picked up some critical 3rd and 4th downs, one of them being one of the games I was at here in Washington at FedEx Field, man. That 4th and 8, man, that was a great conversion by Daniel Jones and Richie James, but not a lot of help. You're right. Yeah. I mean, but 50%, man, that's kind of high, man. It's kind of a high output when you're a running back, quarterback out there doing some things too. And Daniel Jones rushed for 700 yards himself. So that took away a little bit of it. I'd like to see them utilize the second running backs a little bit more, Matt Breida, and coming into this year, the rookie that we drafted as well. I want to see him get some touches as well. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, I feel you. There wasn't much to work with there. There wasn't much, but there are teams that deal with the same kind of a situation there. Baltimore Ravens being one, Kansas City Chiefs kind of being another. You could say outside of Travis Kelce, what else did they have? I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster is definitely an upgrade from anything that we had talking about last year. And Isaiah Pacheco definitely came in as a surprise and did some things. So I hear you. I definitely hear you on that. That's a good point you brought up there. Who else we got up in here, man? My man SHU said when we hopping on Apex. I'm always on, yo. I don't know if you on Twitter, but hit me up on Twitter so I know your gamer tag. I be getting requests, and I be thinking it's just some random that I just gamed with the last game or a couple games before that and don't be knowing. So make sure I know it's you. If you on Xbox, send me a message too, and I'll add you up. Shout out Frankie Franchise one time in the building. Said, what's up, Authentic Cowboys Nation is in the building. He says, love the takes, man. That's what's up, man. Appreciate you pulling up. Y'all know we cover the Cowboys here as well, man. This typically is called the best division in football, the best television show not on TV, Authentic in the Beard. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do recaps and previews of all the Cowboys games, Eagles games, Giants games, and Washington Commanders games. So good to see some Cowboys fans in the building because we are definitely dominated by mostly New York Giants fans over here, even though me and the Beard both live in Washington, and he's a Commanders fan. I'm a Giants fan, obviously. And shout out to the Beard. He blessed me with this OG 87 Super Bowl hat from the Giants one time, man. I brought this joint out to cut one time just to try to rep today, man. Hopefully we headed towards that direction of putting another Lombardi in the trophy case. We'll see how that goes. But big shout out to Frankie pulling up in the building one time, man. Shout out to homie Chris Peace one time, man, for that. $4.99 super chat one time. He says, I'm still waiting for the AATB After Dark series, football, music, and everything else. I'm definitely going to do that because I'm here, bro. Like I said, I'm always right here. The only thing that changes is I turn this way when I'm gaming. I got another TV over here that I game on, and then my whole setup is right here. But I'll guarantee you that we're going to have some After Dark vibes this year during the season for sure. And we're going to do some calling vibes. You know, like the first 3-4 seasons of what we do over here at Authentic and the Beard, we didn't really have a lot of people calling in. So I do want to get y'all perspective, like not just from a chat kind of perspective, but, you know, hearing people's voices. I realized that this year, and shout out to Rob and all my homies who do spaces on Twitter. Charlie does spaces on Twitter. Sal be doing them. Jabri be doing them. Nunu be doing them. A bunch of people do spaces. And there's so many people in the Twitter community that, like, when they would type and talk to me, I would be kind of like, man, you kind of coming at me kind of sideways, bro. But then when we actually talk and you get to hear these people's voices, I think you get to the takes and the opinions have a little bit more weight with them when somebody's actually speaking it rather than just typing it. So, yeah, we're going to definitely have some after dark vibes. Definitely appreciate you bringing that up, and I appreciate the super chat, Chris, man. I'll see you at FedEx. And Chris hooked me up with some tickets, man, to a Commanders preseason game that we're going to be going to. I'm probably going to be pulling up to the New York Giants camp as well, man. I got camp tickets for every day. I'm trying to hit the Giants camp. I'm trying to hit the Commanders camp. I'm trying to hit the Baltimore Ravens camp because the Ravens are an exciting team this year, man, and they're just 40 minutes away from where I live. So I want to take a couple trips up there, man, to see what they talking about and what they doing over there as well in Baltimore. I'm excited to see what OBJ can do with Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers over there, man. They got some weapons, man. They definitely got some weapons. But Chris Peace, definitely appreciate that, fam. That's major over here, supporting the channel. You already know what it is. Shout out King Chris TV in the building one time. He says, certain running backs, yeah, but Saquon's not your average running back. I'm with you on that, bro. That's what it, man. And I think people, you know, that is an opinion. And if people don't agree with that opinion, that's cool. But I agree with that opinion, and that is why I think Saquon Barkley definitely deserves to get at least like a 3-year contract, man, 2 years guaranteed. Guarantee him the tag. Don't just have him out here, you know, just kind of like not knowing his future, man. Just give him the 3 years, man, and they didn't do that. So now we got to go a whole nother season before we figure out something for Saquon Barkley. I'm just not feeling that. So I'm with you on that, Chris. That's a good point you brought up there. Let me see, man. Let me see. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets says Getty listened to the fan base on the KG signing. I think a little bit of that weighed in, but like we can't fake like Kenny Galladay was not the best wide receiver in free agency that year. You know, it was him. He was the guy. And the big question mark was the injuries, man. And here's the thing. There were not a lot of people talking about that when Dave Gettleman signed him. He went through the physical. Most people were on board for that signing because they were desperate for Daniel Jones to have some kind of a weapon in that wide receiver room. It didn't work out. I don't know if Getty 100 listened to the fans, but maybe. Could be true, man. Could be definitely true. Let me see. King Chris TV also says, though, he worked his ass to get picked second overall. That has nothing to do with the situation. It's funny. This like a little pause moment right here because my homie Momo is always talking about Saquon Barkley be twerking for the organization, and he's always twerking for Daniel Jones to get his money and whatnot. So that's kind of funny that you said he worked his ass to get picked second. But yeah, man, I mean, the dude grinded, man. He was coming into that draft. He was a guy, man. He had me excited. I'm like, man, are we getting like, you know, this Saquon Barkley's tape reminded me of like a Reggie Bush. I'm not saying it was like exactly like it because Reggie Bush got some of the best college tape we've ever seen, I think. And Noel Devine. I thought Noel Devine had some crazy college tape. That dude didn't even do jack in the NFL. But yeah, I feel you. He worked it. Definitely should get paid. Deserves to get paid. That's the opinion of me. I'm not gonna sit here and tell nobody their opinions are wrong on this situation. I think there are a lot of different angles you could approach this with. But yeah, shout out to Chris one time on that. Let me see what the homie Money Mans Jay is saying. That's a new face in the building. What's going on, Money Mans? Hope all is well, fam. He says we might as well ask Zeke if he's ready for this season. Yo, look, depending on if it was like cheap, veteran minimum, I would be 1,000% down for that. Because Zeke could be like that tough bruiser back. I think Zeke Elliott opened up a lot for Tony Pollard last year, and we're going to find out this year if that was the case. Zeke Elliott's a good running back when it comes to fourth and short, fourth and goal, third and short. I love Ezekiel Elliott for that. I think you could do some two-back packages with Ezekiel Elliott and Saquon Barkley. So I wouldn't be mad at that at the right price. But considering that we spent some draft capital on a running back, they brought back Matt Breida, I don't know how possible that is. So, yeah. Oscar Unrated says quarterback is the hardest. Yeah, most definitely. I'm with you on that. Shout out to heavyweight champion of the world one time in the building, man. Appreciate you rocking with us. You know what it is with the signature. Woo! Saquon needs to fire everyone around him for failing him. This was just a stupid move on his part. G-Men should sign Calvin Cook. I like that. Calvin Cook from McDonald's. Dalvin Cook and trade Saquon. I don't know if it was stupid. You know, people are saying that about Lamar Jackson. Like, why you got your mom representing you, man? This is stupid. And he got over $200 million guaranteed. So In this situation, it just didn't work out. I know a lot of people look back to the, Saquon Barkley declining the deal that was reported for like $13 million or something like that during the bye week and whatnot. But at the time, he was the best running back in the league. So you got to get yours, man. The opening track to my last album is called Get Yours. So, yeah, I want to see Saquon get his, man. He ain't get it, unfortunately. We'll see if next year, things change. We'll figure that out. Stephen R's dropping some more gems here one time. He says, this regime was okay with sitting their top wide receiver on the roster and collect a free check. But for a player like Saquon that put in the work and struggle, then for the front office to not pay him is wild. This is why I love y'all. I ain't going to front. This is why I love y'all, because y'all always bring things up that I don't think about. And this approach right here is wild because we literally just they paid Kenny Golladay, not Brian Dable and Joe Shane, but he literally just sat the bench making bread. You're right about that. It's a good point that I think not a lot of people are talking about. So it's interesting. A guy who actually is producing a good chunk of your offense, you don't give him the deal. But to play devil's advocate here against what you're saying, they didn't give Kenny Golladay that deal either. So there's that to weigh in on too. Shout out Blue York. Oh, that's a fire name right there. I like the pun on that. That's fire. Blue York Blueprint says, love Saquon, but I'm a Giants fan and can't blame Shane's vision for the future of the G-Men. A new day, a new way. I'm with you on that. I'm a person that wanted Saquon signed, right? But at the end of the day, I don't have any beef with Joe Shane for handling this negotiation the way he did. I'm not looking at Joe Shane like, oh, man, you're the bad guy. You didn't pay Saquon his money. I wanted them to pay Saquon his money, but they're operating and trying to, financially put the best foot forward for the New York Giants. So I definitely respect this take right here. This is important to know that if you have an opinion like mine where you wanted Saquon to be signed, you got to be able to look at the front office and say, okay, they're not doing a bad thing here necessarily by not signing Saquon Barkley. They're just operating within the rules of the CBA, and that's what it is. And I think that's the bigger glaring point is the way the CBA is designed and the way that the market has devalued running backs. We got to find a way to bring that value back up in my eyes, because I think these running backs that are top 5, top 10, they're more valuable than some of the other positions that are being paid. I mean, Evan Ingram just went out there and got $40 million. Come on now. And he was a value. I'm not trying to devalue Evan Ingram. I've always rooted for that guy. Even when New York was tearing that dude apart, booing him coming off the field for drops, I was still like, yo, Evan Ingram, we got to lift that guy. We got to lift that guy. Get him up. He has the talent. He went to Jacksonville and showed out. The dude balled out and became a staple in that offense. I think it's 3, maybe 4 free agents that they brought over there that led their wide receiver room and, or their pass catcher room, let's call it, right? With Zay Jones, with Christian Kirk, with Evan Ingram, and it might be one more. I could be wrong. It was at least 3. So shout out to Evan Ingram. But 40 M's for Evan Ingram, I don't know what's going on. And he was a guy who had the franchise tag as well. And right before the deadline yesterday, they got him his deal for $40 million. So congratulations to Evan Ingram. I sent him a congratulations on Twitter as well. Big salute to him for getting that deal, man, because that's awesome for him. And I hope he can outperform the deal and go get more money, man. Go get that bag. You know what it is. Let me see. I see Charles Dunn in the building. This looks like a new face, too. He says, we have a harder schedule early on. I can see a 1-5 start being a possibility if Saquon don't play. Glad you brought this up. It's crazy. Like, I normally when I do these shows, I got like some notes, kind of like, not like a script, but just like topics I want to hit and whatnot. But it's like when y'all talking like this, I don't need none of that. And today I just thought it was going to be like a 20-minute, 30-minute stream. But here we are an hour and some change later, still streaming because y'all can bring up great points like this. Now, I don't got the schedule right in front of me, but I've been talking about this on Twitter a lot, that this schedule starts off extremely tough. We got Dallas week 1. Now, within those first 6, 7 games, you got the Jets, you got the Dolphins. There's a couple of other difficult teams on the schedule as well. The Buffalo Bills are on the schedule. That little 3-game stretch right there, I forget who the third team is. Buffalo, Miami, and there's one more team where I'm just like, man, I don't know how we're going to come out of that with a W. So 1-5 would not surprise me. I don't want that, and I don't wish that. But 1-5 would not surprise me. 2-4 would not surprise me. The Cardinals game, week 2, I believe that is, do not go out there messing around with the Cardinals and allow them to beat us. Because if you lose to a team like that you're expected to beat, it's going to be a long season, 1,000%. So I'm glad you brought this up because, the schedule is very, very, very difficult at the beginning. And The Giants just need to remain resilient through that first, I'll say the first like 8 games, 6 to 8 games. They just got to stay in it. Just stay in the mix because the back half of the schedule is going to get a lot easier. And then we got 2 games against the Philadelphia Eagles late in the season, which you got to find a way to win one of those games if you want to try to get into the playoffs because the front half is just extremely difficult. I think the Giants had the second most difficult schedule in the entire NFL. So we definitely got to find a way to get off to a good start. And I think that's why it's important for Saquon Barkley to be on the field week 1. A holdout, any kind of situation like that is not going to be a positive for the New York Giants. So this is a good point from Charles Dunn one time. Yeah, the schedule is brutally difficult in the first couple of games. Let me see. Shout out to Fuquay one time in the building. Saquon has missed 50% of the time due to injury. Imagine paying for a Lamborghini and not being able to start it. You should put half the time at the end of that. Most people who buy Lamborghinis don't drive them on a day-to-day basis. You see what I'm getting at right here, right? So to me, it's about you bring in more playmakers. You won't have to worry about durability, I don't think, as much with Saquon Barkley. I really don't think that. I think with Waller, if you could have got a guy like D-Hop, which I was 1,000% on board for, I want that wide receiver 1 with that tight end 1. I want that for Daniel Jones, who is seeing the first 4 years of his career just left. Five years. Wait, let me see. 4 or 5 years for Daniel Jones. Yeah, they declined the 5th year option, 5th year. So he's already had 5 years. So I want to see the help around Daniel Jones. That's my thing. Like, I don't want to be like, just running on a treadmill here and just keep every year, we can't assess Daniel Jones because he don't got the weapons around him, because that's what they're going to say. If Waller gets hurt for even a third of the season, people are going to blame it, the success or lack thereof, on that. And they're going to say he doesn't have weapons around him. So I'm tired of the reasons why Daniel Jones isn't working. I think he's a good quarterback, and I want to see it just as bad as every other Giants fan. Like, put the weapons around him, and let's see this thing. Let's just see Daniel Jones go to work, right? We saw some decent weaponry around him late in the year. I thought Isaiah Hodgins did a good job stepping up and showing us what Daniel Jones could look like when he has some competent players at the wide receiver position. I like Darius Slayton, and I like the new signing. So for me, I was all on board. Go out there and get them number 1s. Now, I don't understand how. Let me see. So with Saquon Barkley, we had 2018, right? Great year, great rookie season. 2019, missed 4 games, I believe he missed in 2019, right? Still had 1,000 yards that year. 2020 missed the entire year, right? So 2020, we still had 16 games, I believe. Could be wrong on that. So missed 16 games there. That's 20 games right there. And then comes back in 2021, missed a couple of games in 2021 with the turned ankle. I think he missed 4 games in 2021. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. I probably won't even get to scroll down to the chat in time, but somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. So he missed 4 games there, 4 games in the 2020 season. You got a good 8 games right there. And then last year didn't miss any games. So what, 32 plus, that's dead even. Yep. So it's literally spot on, 50%, which I get it. Had to miss the whole year with the ACL injury. But when you see a guy come back now in 2022 on a roster that was expected to do jack, nobody expected the Giants to win 9 games. Really should have won 10 games for real, with the tie against Washington, where the New York Giants in the second half of regulation only had 21 total yards from scrimmage, which that's unacceptable. And then Darius Slayton drops the big pass down the seam late in the game, and everybody wanted to blame it on that. But offensively, in the second half of that game, the New York Giants were absolutely dog shit. And then they allowed Taylor Heineke to come back on the last possession of the fourth quarter, down by 7 on 4th and 10, convert from his own 10-yard line, and then drive the Washington Commanders down the field to tie the game up to go into overtime, where we saw no points anyway. Those kind of things can't happen. So I'm looking at this team like, did they was it too much? Like, I know the expectation was low, but did we over-succeed? I really don't know. Like, maybe coaching is that important. I know people be saying that coaching matters thing. I'm like, duh. Yeah, obviously we need a good coach, right? But maybe with Brian Daboll, it's elevating this roster that much more. And now we're looking at 50% of the roster has been swapped out. I just like everybody, they say not a fair evaluation for Daniel Jones. Same thing can apply to Saquon Barkley. And I think with some weapons around him, we deserve to see how this thing should pan out. And we're gonna, as long as Saquon Barkley doesn't hold out. So, I think that this 50%, missing it due to injury, these are probably some of the factors, Fuquay, of why the New York Giants didn't go ahead and give him the deal. So another year, if he proves it, I just think that the lifespan of running backs is not going to allow Joe Shane and them to give him a deal next year. So we're looking at 2 tags, to be honest. But this is facts right here. And 50% of the time missed, that's not a good thing. Availability is the best ability, so I got to agree with you on that. But like my homie was saying a little earlier, this is Saquon Barkley we talking about, man. When he's healthy, he's a top 3 to 5 running back in this league. I think if you put him on some of these teams like the Cleveland Browns, who Nick Chubb is a running back that gets thrown around, being better than Saquon Barkley. Look at that offensive line with them. If you had Saquon on that team, it would be ridiculous. A lot of people were talking about the pay cut that Joe Mixon took just recently and comparing that to Saquon Barkley. I was like, could you imagine Saquon Barkley on the Bengals? Holy. So we'll see how things go. But I'm not, like I said, man, I'm not mad at the front office for making the move the way that they did. I just wanted to see my guy get paid, to be honest. Let me see what else we got here, man. I want to catch up to y'all. Shout out to John one time, man. I definitely appreciate that $10 super chat, my brother. He says, I don't understand why a lot of people are blaming Shane. He didn't draft him. He doesn't owe him shit. He's an analytics guy, and the market says don't overpay running backs. This is on Barkley alone for not taking the deal. Yeah, I mean, that's what the analytics say, is that you're not supposed to really pay running backs. I don't know about at the age of 26, but and recent history has really, really given all of us, fans, front office, everyone, a little bit of recency bias. Because we know what happened with Le'Veon Bell when he held out and got his money. We know what happened with Ezekiel Elliott when he held out and got his money. It looked like those were bad contracts. But like I said, man, we're not doing that with quarterbacks. They paid Dak Prescott. Looks like a bad contract. They're not going up to him being like, hey, bro, it's time to take the pay cut, right? Carson Wentz, bad contract. So many other quarterbacks, Tannehill, I named them earlier, Carr, a bunch of these guys, they sign contracts and you go, Kirk Cousins. You're like, really? You think the Minnesota Vikings are looking at the Kirk Cousins contract going, yeah, hell no. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. San Francisco, even with a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, you're looking at that like, damn, we wasted money. The Washington Commanders, they spent $10 million on Ryan Fitzpatrick. He played like 4 snaps and was out of here. Wasted money, right? It happens in the NFL all day long, but we harp on it a little bit more in the running back category, I think, because of the way things have gone recently with the running backs. But blaming Shane, I think that's wild. We can't blame Shane. And I've seen people like, yeah, don't cave, Shane. If he would have caved, they would have really been blaming him. I think more people are going to be on Joe Shane's side here for siding with the franchise tag because financially it just makes more sense. But shout out to John, man. Been rocking with us for forever, bro, and been donating to our channel forever. I definitely appreciate that, bro. You know that goes a long way for this channel, man. We've been trying to do a bunch of things that take up a lot of time, like going to camp and things like that, especially for me, not living in the New York market. I'm down here in Washington, D.C. Things like that obviously are gonna have to take financial resources and time off of making more money to go up there and cover these things. And I don't want to make it seem like I go out there to cover these things just for y'all, because I do go out there to cover it for myself and see it with my own 2 eyes. And if I can use that information and then bring it back and relay it to y'all, I think that that's a bonus. Like last year, I wasn't at camp, but I remember that Talking Giants, Bobby Skinner and Justin Pennick were out there with snacks and whatnot, Nikki Snacks, that's a part of their team and whatnot, and they were covering camp, man, and I thought that information and that just those days that they were out there coming back and giving their opinions and telling us what they saw, it's invaluable. Like, we wasn't going to get that nowhere else. And that actually inspired me to be like, man, I want to go to camp next year and bring a different approach, because Bobby and Justin and their team, they come with an approach where they analyze the practices. They give you numbers on how Daniel Jones looks and all that. I want to come at it from a different perspective, kind of like what I already do with this channel already. So big shout out to them, man. They doing big things over there, and definitely inspired me to want to go to camp. And big shout out to John for that super chat, man. That definitely means a lot, my brother. All right, let me just scroll down because I'm way back. Shout out to all of y'all, man. Like, just for sticking around, rocking with me on this little impromptu stream, man. I didn't think y'all was even going to pull up. I thought I was going to be up this joint talking like 4 people. So shout out to all of y'all rocking with us. We're going to close this thing out here in a second. I definitely want to make sure that we get to all the comments, especially the ones that super chatted and donated to the channel, man. But shout out again to all of y'all, man. I definitely appreciate y'all rocking with me. The energy, I'm feeling it again. This the energy I had last season, and why I was just so in love with going live and rapping with y'all throughout the whole entire year, especially during the year where the New York Giants saw some success. So big shout out to all of y'all, man. Again, let me see. I'm just scrolling down trying to catch back up. There's so many chats. I want to bring attention to all of y'all. Y'all know I do that here, and sometimes it gets me a little bit caught up. Shout out to Gregory in the building, man. Cowboys fan, resident Cowboys fan. I see you, fam. I see you. Let me see. Shout out to professionally certified Hater. What a fantastic damn name.
Spike don't care.
I love that name right there. As a Jets fan, this is a smart move on the Giants' end. The running back value is diminished. With the proper O-line, any running back can look good. Y'all just need interior O-line now. Okay, so a couple things here I want to break down. This is a good statement you brought up here. I agree with some of it, and some of it I don't agree with. I definitely appreciate the $5 super chat first and foremost. So as a Jets fan, this is a smart move on the Giants' end. I do think it's kind of a smart move, from the front office. I do. The running back value is diminished. This is facts right here. With a proper O-line, any running back can look good. I don't agree with you 1,000% on that. If you go and you look, and my man Sal broke down these numbers for me just recently. If you look at the running backs that have been taken in the later rounds 3 through round 7, I think he said, let me actually, I want to pull it up so it's dead accurate. So I have the exact numbers for y'all, to be honest, because I don't want to botch the numbers, to be honest. So just bear with me. Give me a second here, y'all. I got to just decipher through a couple of tweets, because Sal, he wasn't lazy, as I called him. And he went out there while he's at work being a damn doctor, and he got the numbers for me on this. And I thought these were pretty valuable numbers, because my whole thinking on like where you're drafted, it really don't matter when you get into the league, man. Like, can you produce? We've had players produce from every position of where they were drafted. And, yeah, there are some outliers. And, obviously, with the quarterback, you're going to see more talent happen in the first round, with the quarterback position for sure. But let me see if I can find these numbers from Sal that he sent me just a little while ago. Okay, 39 running backs have gone over 500 yards in 2022, right? Because he was kind of arguing like you can use 2 running backs to supplement for one, which is totally true. I 100% agree with that. I'm the guy who's been like begging for the Giants to bring in another running back to pair with Saquon. Like, don't split the carries, but have a guy you can, take Saquon off the field and still have confidence in him to be able to go out there and get the tough yards. Now, he said of the 39 running backs, 19 of those running backs were taken in the 3rd round or later. I mean, that says a lot right there, right? That says that you can't actually just take any running back and plug and play them. If you look, even if you just look at the running backs, not this past draft in April, but the draft before that, there were a lot of running backs that were taken 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round, 6th round. Not a lot of those guys hit. Some of them did, and I know, I can't remember where Breece Hall got drafted, but I think he might have been a 2nd. I can't remember where he was drafted. I thought he was maybe a later round running back. I could be wrong on that. But he was a guy who saw some success, and we saw a couple other running backs see some success. I can't remember where Algier was drafted, but I told Sal I'm going to go through this and look at every one of these backs, because the data is important, but we can't just rely on just the data. It is important to get the offensive line patched up. Now, this is the other thing that I think we can't necessarily agree with just yet, where you say y'all just need interior O-line now. You're right about that. We do need interior O-line, but I would just say it's not just interior O-line. Evan Neal has got to show that he's going to be a guy. He has to show that he's going to be our staple at the right tackle position. And if he's not, we're going to have to go out there and draft somebody else or find a way to patchwork that position as well. Now, interior offensive line has been an issue. Glowinski there last year, Ben Bredesen there, Ezedu out there. There's a couple guys who can come in there. They're not terrible. They're not poor. And Feliciano was doing a lot of the center work last year. We lost Nick Gates, who I thought was a tough, kind of gritty offensive lineman. He's here in Washington with the Commanders. I wish him the best of luck as well. But I do think that, the interior line, you got to patch that up. Right tackle is important. Evan Neal's probably one of the most important players on the New York Giants roster entering 2023. He's got to make the leap. And outside of that, the depth pieces. Offensive line is not just about just the starters. And y'all know how New York goes. Players get hurt all the time. So we're going to have to find a way to build upon the depth pieces as well. I think we're getting closer, though. I definitely think we're closer. I'm looking forward to seeing your Jets this year, certified hater. I want to see Aaron Rodgers in that system. Y'all defense on fire. I think y'all got some weapons on the outside. I think y'all got some good running backs in the backfield as well. Offensive line, question mark for y'all as well as it is a question mark for us, man. But shout out to you, man. I definitely appreciate that $10 super chat. That's major, brother. All right, here. Let me scroll down here, get to my homie Lax one time, man. Big shout out to the homie Lax one time for the $4.99 super chat. He says the way running backs are valued in today's NFL is borderline disrespect. The disrespect, Lax. I feel you, bro. They get double the touches as most wide receivers and are told we will replace you in 4 years. And yeah, that's I'm in the music industry, Lax, you know that. A lot of these folks here today might not know that, right? But the music business kind of like that too, man. It's like, yo, as soon as they feel like, hey, we can replace you, you out of here. That's how it is. Ain't nothing to it. If you're not making the label money, and in this case in the NFL, if you're not adding to the New York Giants in the win column, there's a problem there. And a lot of people use this as a point against Saquon Barkley, is that the whole time he's been here, we haven't won anything. People use that against Odell Beckham, too. It's like it's his fault, right? Like, he's out there going out there making big splash plays, doing all he can do, leading the New York Giants. I'm speaking on both of these players, Barkley and OBJ, and people look at it like, well, he didn't win shit. Like, I can't look at it like that, man. Like, and the one thing that I thought was misconstrued about Odell Beckham was, like, his passion. You know, his passion was mistaken for, like, a problem, I feel like. Because there were times, man, where the whole team on the sideline just sitting there like getting our ass kicked and nobody doing nothing. And Odell Beckham's over there getting smacked in the face by a kicking net or something. You know, so I just thought his passion was just a little bit mistaken. But, Lax, I agree with you, man. It is borderline disrespectful. That's not Joe Shane's fault, right? It's just the way that the running backs are valued in the NFL today because, and this is why I compared it to the music market, it's an oversaturated market. I can go get any rapper out here to go talk about selling dope. So if you're a rapper on my record label and you talking about selling dope and it's more lucrative for me to go over here and replace you and go bring in this guy, why wouldn't I do it? It makes sense. So I can't blame Joe Shane. I gotta just blame the way that the NFL is structured and the way that these deals are being done. You know, like people are looking at it like it's a waste of money. There's so many positions we could look at like that. So I agree with you on that, Lex. The homie one time, let me see if I can say this one the right way. Bro TZ Man Sacks, maybe? Maybe. I'm probably completely wrong on that. Brats Man Sacks? Bro TZ Man Sacks? I'm not too sure, but shout out to the homie one time. He says, I'm so disgusted. We didn't. And I feel you, man. There's a bitter taste for sure. It's just like, damn, man, pay that dude. Saquon been out here putting in the work, man. Putting in the work. Homie Zach Attack is in the building. He says DJ will cook next season. He made huge progress last season from his play to his poise and his swagger. We're good. We're good, Giants fans. I like that. Very reassuring. I saw some pictures come out today of Sam Howell, and the dude was looking fresh. It was like he was like in like a cardigan or something, man. He was like, in some business casual looking vibe, looking fresh. Swag on 1,000. Looked like he needed one of them croquet joints. Like, swag was on 1,000. I said, man, I want Daniel Jones to have some of this swag. I agree with you on all this. The swag, maybe not on a consistent basis. I did see some swag, though, at some times there. I remember when Marcus Johnson dropped that one pass and Daniel went to the sideline and you saw him. He was furious, and he said, catch the ball. Yeah, that's the kind of Daniel Jones I want to see, man. A guy who's you can hold accountable and is also holding the other players on the offensive side of the ball accountable as well. So, yeah, I agree with you on a bit of that, Zach, for sure. Let me see. Stephen R. says that Saquon's rookie year was way better than DJ whole tenure here, but I don't want him paid just for 1 year. It's been 3 solid years minus the 2 injuries, but still showed the injuries didn't affect him. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, like, with Daniel Jones, you never saw him flash that, like, yeah, I'm a guy in this league. You ain't seen that. Let's just call it what it is, right? You never saw that. You saw a guy who can definitely be a starter in this league and win some damn games, though, especially last season. And his rookie year, you saw a guy who could go out there and make the throws. And something happened along the 2 years with Joe Judge and Jason Garrett where, like, Daniel Jones kind of, like, I think got a little shell-shocked a little bit, like, didn't want to make the mistakes anymore. He got paid now. I think he's going to cut it loose, to be honest. And this offense is going to call for it a little bit. You're going to see us stretch the field a little bit more. We brought in some of those players that are going to stretch the field. So I agree with you on that. Like, Saquon, the rookie year, they were like, yo, this is the best player in the damn league almost 2018. There's probably about 3 or 4 players where I'm like, you could definitely say those guys were more effective than Saquon Barkley in 2018. Antonio Brown being one. Antonio Brown was just going stupid in 2017, 2018. Antonio Brown went stupid. He was probably the best player in the league. But, yeah, I'm with you on this, Stephen Arch, for sure. Shout out to homie Brother L, formerly known as 84. I never even knew how to say it, to be honest. I don't know if it was E. Levant, L. Levant. I used to just call you 84. We're going to call you L from now on out. Shout out to the Brother L one time in the building for the $4.99 super chat. He says, salute, G, just a Cowboys fan showing some love. Your front office trying to be like ours. Is with the running backs I see. Yeah, that's what it looks like, man. But y'all's at least gave Zeke that money, man. Y'all gave Zeke that bread. Y'all might have gave him a little bit too much bread and a little bit too much time on the deal. But, yeah, I was looking forward to seeing us give Saquon the bread. It didn't go down. Saquon's going to either play on the franchise tag or you're going to have to hold out. But big shout out to the brother L one time in the building, man. Been rocking with us since last season, I believe, over there from William Steele's channel, man. They do great work over there as well, too, man. But shout out to L, man. I hope your summer's going well. Hope the offseason treating you good, man. I'm looking forward to this year, man. It's going to be a good one, man. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you in the chat. And our Cowboys-Giants rivalries. Week 1, bro. I'll see you week 1, brother. It's going to be great. Let me see what else we got here, man. I'm just scrolling up. We're going to close this thing out here in a second, man. He's like, y'all just rain the chat for me one time, man. Shout out Zach Attack one time in the building. He said, fire stream, my guy. Keep it up. You know I will, man. Definitely, man. To that casket dip, y'all know I'm repping them New York Giants all day long, man. So big shout out to y'all, man. Big shout out to the homie Zach Attack for the $5 super chat. Let me see what else we got. I'm still not even all the way caught up here. Professionally certified hater one time back in the building, man. Appreciate that $10 super chat. He said, bad wording on my part. Any competent, serviceable running back behind a good O-line will be fine. And yes, Neal has to be better. I meant in terms of the running game. Receivers, nobody on the Giants moves me. Yeah, I feel you on that. And I think, like, going into this year, the one person who I think could, like, maybe surprise a lot of people is Paris Campbell. You know, healthy last year. The numbers resemble pretty much a mirror version of what Curtis Samuel did in Washington. And Curtis Samuel was a guy who, you know, when he was in Carolina, he was a top kind of wide receiver. I'm not going to say top 5, top 10, nothing crazy like that. But that dude was putting up numbers when he was in Carolina. He could run the ball out of the backfield. He could catch the short stuff, the stop routes, the digs. He could do all that stuff. He could go down the field. He could stretch the field. He could run the crossing routes. He could run the out routes outside the hash. He could do it all. I think Paris Campbell's kind of similar. So he's the one that I'm a little bit excited about just to see how it translates, because we know the Colts had terrible quarterback play last year, and their offense wasn't clicking that well. And Paris Campbell still found a way to be able to put up some decent numbers. I want to see how that translates over here with New York. But I agree with you on this, man. Like, with this cleanup job you did here, you didn't have to do the $10 to clean it up. But yeah, this is 1,000% accurate right here for sure. I'm not like sold on any of the wide receivers right now, which is why I wanted to go out there and get DeAndre Hopkins, man. I didn't want to like do the whole like all-in Gettleman thing, right? But like, I just feel like with Daniel Jones at quarterback, you sign him to a 4-year deal, 2-year out on that deal. Like, let's take advantage of these first 2 years while you're not paying them that much money and go out there and try to really make a run for the chip. A lot of people don't think the Giants are a Super Bowl contending team, but to me, if you're a team that's in the playoffs, of the 14 teams, how can we say you're not contending for a Super Bowl? The Giants were 2 games away from the Super Bowl. How can we say they didn't contend at least last year? You can put the asterisks and say the Giants overperformed, but to say that they weren't a contender last year is crazy. I understand. Philadelphia Eagles dog walked us in the playoffs. I think a lot of that score had to do with the way that Mike Kafka and Brian Dable approached the game plan. I thought that the game plan should have been just like the Washington Commanders did, the only team, I might add, to beat the Philadelphia Eagles in the regular season while Jalen Hurts was a starting quarterback. They ran the damn ball. They didn't see a lot of success in the running game there. Brian Robinson was averaging 3.9 yards per carry. Saquon Barkley was over 5.4 yards per carry, I believe, in the last 4 games of the season. So, like, just hand them the ball. You're giving them 9 carries, 4 carries in the first half against the Eagles. To me, that you really wrote up the wrong game plan, and I think it came from a little bit of smoke from the performance against the Minnesota Vikings. I talked about this too, man. Like, I wish I had the notes direct, right? And as I say it, I'll try to scroll and see, because I did write something down about this. But Daniel Jones had a historical performance against the Minnesota Vikings in the playoffs. I forget what it was. It was like the first player ever to go over 300 passing yards, 70 rushing yards, and like one other thing or something like that, right? But the same thing could have been said for other quarterbacks who faced the Minnesota Vikings last year as well. There was 6 quarterbacks last year who had their best quarterback rating of the year against the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, one of them was the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, Skylar Thompson and Teddy Bridgewater. As a split, they went up against them. But don't forget, when Dak Prescott went up against the Minnesota Vikings defense, they dropped 40 on their head. Kirk Cousins couldn't get nothing going. Dak Prescott had his highest completion percentage. Sorry, he had his second, and all these numbers are like, they're starting to come back to me a little bit. Dak Prescott had his second highest completion percentage ever in his entire career. Jalen Hurts, when he went up against the Minnesota Vikings defense, they literally put up 24 points in the first, quarter. They were up 24-7 at the half, and they were just on the sidelines high-fiving. Jalen Hurts, the statistics that he put up in that game, he was the first quarterback to ever do it. I can't remember exactly what the numbers were. Oh, I got them right here. Bung. So, because I wanted to do a video, and I actually recorded the video and everything on the Minnesota Vikings game in the playoffs versus the New York Giants. And I had like all these different little like nuggets and little statistics, that so support that the Minnesota Vikings defense was just absolute garbage, man. They were just absolute garbage. So the quarterbacks who had the highest quarterback rating against or of the season against the Minnesota Vikings, it was Jared Goff, Matt Stafford, Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, Teddy Bridgewater, Skylar Thompson, and Daniel Jones, okay? The Vikings defense, I love this because I can do, like, I threw away the video pretty much. I was like, nobody's trying to hear about this Vikings game no more, but at least I could give y'all some of these numbers. Vikings defense was 31st in passing yards, 31st in explosive plays over 15 yards, and this is defensively. 31st in plays, so allowed over 25 yards. They were 31st in both those categories. 30th in passing yards allowed. 30th in yards per play allowed, okay? 28th in points allowed, okay? When Jalen Hurts faced this Vikings defense, he definitely achieved what no quarterback has ever done in the history of the league, not in any game ever. He had over 300 passing yards. He had over 80 completion percentage, 2 rushing touchdowns. That has never been done against any team from any quarterback in the entire NFL. So I just say that all to, like, when you hear about the Daniel Jones statistic against the Minnesota Vikings in the playoffs, over 300 yards, over 70 yards rushing. I'm glad I remembered that. And it was the first time ever a quarterback had done that in a playoff game. Don't forget that Jalen Hurts, when he played the Minnesota Vikings, he did what a quarterback had never done, and he did it in the first half. Second half, they were literally like wearing jackets and high-fiving each other on the sidelines, laughing their asses off while Kirk Cousins was in misery on the other side. So just keep that all in mind. Like, this defense for the Vikings was not good. The Giants went out there and they won that game, and the defense didn't play a great game if you really think about it. Kirk Cousins had a solid game throughout that game. The numbers, I want to say it was like something where he only had like 6 incompletions on the whole entire day. So for me, I do take that win. I don't take the win with a grain of salt. I take the performance with a grain of salt. And I think that smoke allowed us to go into that Philadelphia Eagles game. I don't know why, because no team had success passing the ball against the Philadelphia Eagles damn near all year long to lead to a victory. We go out there and we try to pass the ball. Saquon Barkley gets 4 attempts in the first half, 2 of them on the first drive, and then they just completely abandoned the run. He had a carry for 5 yards and a carry for 3 yards, and then we just go, nope, we're not dealing with that. We're not running the ball. And then obviously you get way too far behind on the scoreboard. You can't commit to the run. But then they tried to come on the second half and try to commit to the run. The one drive that we did score on, a lot of it had to do with a big run from Saquon Barkley, where he ended up getting caught from behind. So to me, you got to take a lot of that with a grain of salt. But shout out to we got to call you something else, like PCH maybe or something. But nah, shout out to a professionally certified hater. I like that name, man. And welcome to the family, my dude. You're welcome to pull up anytime, man. We always talking Giants football. I know we're not quite like, going to be covering your Jets and whatnot, but it's always a good time up here, man. We do talk about some other teams every now and again, especially in the fantasy world on Sundays too, on the parlay as well. Let me see here. And we're going to get up out of here soon. I got 3 minutes. We're going to get up out of here. CMC is working for the 49ers. It wasn't a big problem for them to take on that contract. Yeah. I talked about that a little bit earlier, Steven. Like, CMC, as great of a schemer as Kyle Shanahan is, and what he can do for a running game for a team, and how he can do that with serviceable running backs, as my man. Let me scroll back up one time. Professionally certified hater said. They still went out there and got CMC. So running backs. Let's just stop acting like running backs are like we don't need them. Like, we could just line up in the hoop-de-hoop like Varsity Blues, if you know what I'm talking about. Can't do that. But big shout out to the homie PCH, right? Is it PCH? Yeah, PCH, professionally certified hater. That's my guy now. Welcome to the fam, my G. Let me see. I just want to get down to the end of the chat. Make sure I got all the super chats here. Okay, Zach Attack says, can't argue with that Vikings take, but imagine if DJ didn't beat the Vikings, we would have crucified him. It depends how, because when you look back at the performance in the regular season, 27-24, I believe it was, that the Vikings beat us, and Daniel Jones played a fantastic game. He had the one mistake across the middle going to Isaiah Hodgins, where he missed him a little bit on the back shoulder on a one-on-one crossing route and ended up getting intercepted. And I thought that was one of the, not turning points, but it was one of those mistakes. Like, I look at it the same way I looked at Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl, right? Like, the fumble was a big play for the opposite team. It's not the fault or the reason why the Eagles lost that game, because Jalen Hurts obviously went out there, balled out, had like over 300 passing yards and all of that. Same thing goes for Daniel Jones in that first performance against the Vikings. I just think, like, if he would have played like that in the playoffs, I think we would have gave him a pass a little bit. Like, man, that clearly wasn't his fault. you'd have to probably look at the defense or something like that as the main reasoning why we lost the game. But there's going to be people that would have crucified him anyway. So I got to agree with you on that because we do got Daniel Jones haters out there. I thought that wasn't a thing, to be honest. Like last season, like people literally just don't want to see this guy win. But, yeah, that definitely exists. For me, as long as he's the quarterback of the Giants, I'm rooting for him to win. That's my thing, straight up. But shout out to Zach Attack for that take right there. I think that's yeah, there's some validity to that for sure. Some people would have for surely crucified him. I definitely agree with you on that. Let me get to this one. These mouse batteries is definitely dying. King Chris TV says Neal being good is going to make us or break us this season on offense. Yeah, and I'm working on some content about that too, man, because like the injury for Evan Neal last year, it definitely set him back. I feel like once he got like a little banged up, it's like now people was looking at him like, bro, he's a bust type of player right now. He's looking Eric Flowers out here. Before that, it was kind of you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I do think a lot of this season is going to ride on Evan Neal 1,000%. And while we at it with Chris TV, let's bring this one up too as well. Chris TV says, that Quez Watkins drop cost the Eagles the Super Bowl. Oh my God, I know exactly what joint you talking about. Yo, that throw is for them people that say Jalen Hurts can't throw. Because man, that window on that Quez Watkins throw, bro. Good God, man. That. Yeah, you're right about that. I can't say it was the sole reason, but it was definitely one of the reasons. And the special teams, man. The punt return coverage on the Kadarius Toney punt return, man. You can't allow that in that window right there. Patrick Mahomes had no passes completed over 10 yards in the second half of that game. He dink and dunked his way, and they made the right adjustments. And Andy Reid, been looking at a ton of content. Make sure y'all look at Alex Rollins NFL. He got some awesome content on that Super Bowl. Andy Reid's adjustments in the second half of that Super Bowl is what really helped them win that Super Bowl. And when you look at some of the games that the Kansas City Chiefs lost, you know, like championship games against Joe Burrow, stuff like that, it came because Andy Reid didn't adjust. And the Bengals found ways to be able to, you know, contain Patrick Mahomes. The Eagles did a good job in the first half of putting pressure on him. Damn near broke his whole damn leg in that game. And then you started to see Patrick Mahomes finding ways to get the ball out quick, and the rest is history. Patrick Mahomes probably the only guy that would have beat the Eagles on that day because the Eagles was on fire. They came out there playing great football from the onset of that game. When they went up 2 scores, I'm like, man, the Chiefs are in trouble. They come out in the second half, they handle business, man. So big shout out to the Chiefs because I didn't really want to see the Philadelphia Eagles win a Super Bowl. I ain't no hater like that. You know, y'all there. If you win the Super Bowl, I'm not going to be like, man, and, you know, be that kind of Giants fan. I think I'm like that because I don't live in New York, because the Giants fans who live in New York, it's like they don't want to see anything positive in the Eagles. They don't want to see Jalen Hurts do anything good. For me, I'm like, I kind of root for Jalen Hurts when he's not playing against the Giants because, for real, I'm the kind of person that for African-American quarterbacks, I root for all of them to have success because there was a time when I'm 40 years old. By the way, I just turned 40 July 5th. There was a time, bro, where there was no black quarterbacks for real in the league. So, like, when I see them get opportunity now, granted, the league has now shifted and half these quarterbacks are black. And it really shouldn't be a thing about race. But for my people, I want to see my people at the highest positions in all walks of life. And I think for quarterback, I want to see them all win. Like, Justin Fields, you know, I don't feel quite the same way about Dak Prescott because he already had a little bit of success, so he can kind of take a nosedive. I'm all cool with that. But for all the young guys, I want to see them get their opportunity. And Jalen Hurts was a guy, if you watch this podcast, you know, me and the Beard, we were from day one, we were some of the people that were like, y'all tripping on y'all assessment of Jalen Hurts. People were saying this guy's a running back, he's trash, he's garbage. I could never see that from day one. The first 3 to 4 games where Jalen Hurts came in the game, he won that big game against the Saints, which they were definitely not favored in that game. He had like 2 games of over 300 passing yards. The main thing with Jalen Hurts was the completion percentage. He couldn't, you know, that was a big thing for him. But once he got the speed of the game underneath his belt, and, you know, started to work on his footwork and his upper body mechanics, you saw it this year. He put it all together. And I'm expecting for him to have another big year, for real. I'm definitely expecting for him to have another big year. And see, no Mets, no Nets, no Jets, who is around the corner, he definitely know that it's those vibes for the Pigeons. I feel you. I feel you. And anytime we're playing them or things get close, I ain't trying to see the Eagles win no games. Don't get it twisted here. But as far as the quarterback and young players, I do root for some players, man. Like I want to see Devonta Smith win. I like that kid. I wish the Giants could have got him. But Cowboys and the Eagles conspired to find a way for us to not get Daniel Jones another weapon. Unfortunate. But I feel you, no Mets. I definitely feel you. I definitely feel you on that. Shout out to all y'all, with the belated happy birthday vibes, man. I appreciate that, man. 40. Feeling good, man. Like, the beard didn't run to 40 before the the combine like we talked about on our last show. I'm going to get him out there, and we definitely going to run that 40. I'm looking forward to it, man. I don't know if y'all saw Pac-Man Jones on the Pat McAfee show. They were like, you can't run a sub 4.540, right? And he was like, shh, you crazy. I'll run a sub 4.540 just light jogging. That's light work. He went out there. They ran the 40, and he ran like a 4.52. And that kind of got me thinking, like, because I thought I could run like a high 4.5, maybe a 4.6. I thought I'd be like somewhere between a 4.58 and a 4.68. I don't know, man. I might need a little help on the stop clock, maybe boost me up a couple tenths of a second there, because when I saw him run a 5.1, I was kind of like, damn, maybe I can't run that. But at 40, I'm feeling good. I'm definitely feeling good. I want to get back out, do some hooping. I want to get back into some like intramural football leagues and whatnot, and get back out here. I've been sitting in this chair a little bit too much. And I see no Mets, no Nets, no Jets talking about the hammies. Dog, like my groins is so tight, bro. Like I ain't ran in a while. I got a feeling that if I do go try to run out here, we going to pull something here one time. And PCA said, bro, I thought you was late 20. That's wild. Nah, man, I got some grays kicking in here. See, my camera don't be showing them grays for real, but them grays is there, dog. Like, I got some grays right here and whatnot, but I'm trying, man. I don't know. Maybe it's just in the genes, or, I don't know. Both my folks from Haiti, maybe it's in the genes somewhere down the line or something like that. But I can feel the age definitely creeping up on me a little bit. The bones is kind of, a little bit, just a little bit. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Right now, I do definitely feel youthful, and I think once these grays take over, right now it's like a little salt and pepper vibe. But once these grays take over, it's going, you're gonna be like, yeah, dude looks 40. He definitely looks 40. But shout out to y'all, man. Big salute, man. Yeah, 40 feels good. I chilled in the crib. I really didn't even do too much, man. I just sat around, watched some football, man. I'm starting to feel like, man, football might be like the true love, man. Like music been fun, but football is like I'm waking up every damn day and just like indulging myself in football content. I'm truly in love with it, man. So shout out to y'all for pulling up and just rocking with me one time. My man, Brother L said, let me see, yo, these mouse batteries definitely going dead. Had an ice bath, the lidocaine tiger balm. No, the tiger, that's the fake icy hot right there. And a doctor ready after you run that 40. That's facts. And I'm going to record it for y'all. You can I can give you an official 40 time, because I can bring the tape into the software, put it on the timeline, and that way you can see verbatim how long from when I take off to when I get to that 40. I've done it before. And last time I ran the 40, it was like a 4.59 with my homie Ajibade. We was out there. We were like, we crossed the line like right at the same exact time. So I don't know if I'm still that fast. When I was in my 30s, I was like in my best shape, to be honest. Like my early mid 30s, I was in the best shape of my life. My 20s, I was loafing, doing rap stuff, and not really, just blazing too much and drinking too much and whatnot. And I wasn't in great shape. But today, I feel like I just need to get out there, get a little loose, little WD-40 on the joints and whatnot. And I think I'll be all right. Y'all know what it is. But shout out to y'all, man, for rocking with us. I think that this Saquon Barkley deal not really quite panning all the way out is a little bit of a disappointment, at least for me, man. I really wanted to see this dude get his bag. I thought he deserved the bag, to be honest, as well. We'll see how things go moving forward. Nonetheless, Saquon Barkley should be on this roster at the beginning of the 2023 season. I'm crossing my fingers that we don't got to deal with no BS on that end. We'll see how things go, man. But I am looking forward to the New York Giants 2023 season, man. This is going to be a big one. This is going to be a really, really, really exciting year. And I think, not only for players like Saquon Barkley is it going to be a prove-it year, but for this entire team, front office, and organization, this is going to be a major, major, major prove-it year. We shall see, man. It's unfortunate my guy didn't get his money. Daniel Jones got the contract already, so we know that things are solidified in that department. Daniel Jones will be the quarterback moving forward. Brought in some good pieces. We'll see if the Giants can do a little bit more, man, and maybe bring in a couple more pieces. I'm still worried about linebacker, still worried about wide receiver, still worried about secondary just a little bit. I want to see a couple more depth pieces come out here and contribute to some New York Giants wins. That's what's most important. Vegas got it at 7.5. Right now, I'm taking the over on that 7.5. Y'all know what it is. Let me see what my man PCH said here. What's up? PCH said, "Hey man, never say never. A 48-year-old Terrell Owens ran a 4.38. That's a fact right there. I'll definitely say never. So we'll see how it goes. It's gonna be some content for y'all. Y'all will definitely get to see that. Make sure to keep your eyes peeled for the newest videos coming out. We're gonna be dropping one a week. And if you didn't see the first joints, definitely go take a look at those, man. It's a new vibe. It's something different that we're doing out here. I'm getting outdoors. And I've been kind of hesitant to get outdoors to make some of this content because here in DC it's been like damn near 100 degrees every damn day. The humidity has been ridiculous the last couple of days. So just getting out there in front of the camera, turn on the camera overheating, sweating bullets out there and whatnot, it's been a little bit disheartening to kind of go out there and make these videos. But I'm going to make sure that we have a new one a Monday from today. So keep your eyes peeled. Like I said, go back, check out those other ones. We got 3 of them. Each video is 2 minutes and 20 seconds. They're short format content made for Twitter mainly, and just to kind of hold us over until we get to the beginning of the season. But again, man, big shout out to the Giants Nation in the building. I had no idea this stream was going to go 2 hours. We had 1 hour and 55 minutes. I had no idea it was going to go this long. I didn't think that this many people was going to show up and rock out with us on the day that Saquon Barkley got the franchise tag officially. So we'll see how things go if Saquon holds out. Until next time, y'all know what it is, man. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. And for those of y'all that are new here, that's a quote from my good brother, Combat Jack. Rest in peace to him. He's a podcast GOAT in the hip-hop world. And he gave me and the Beard the confidence to be able to come out here and do things in this market, in the urban market of when it comes to sports. So big shout out to Combat Jack, man. Enjoy the rest of y'all evening, man. Shout out to Chris Peace. We definitely gonna be having some of them dark hour streams, some impromptu vibes. Maybe we'll do one of those before the season starts. We'll see how things go, but just keep your eyes peeled, man, on the community and keep your eyes peeled on the videos that we're doing, man. And until then, man, y'all be good. Y'all know what it is, man. Giants Nation is in the building. I'll catch y'all next time, yo.